What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. 2DF Chapter 31 The War Situation, for Flowers, Score. Dip. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the ability card magnet style blood successor. Close black lens bracket. Shi Shangyang turned his head suddenly and looked at the man with burning eyes. However, he unexpectedly discovered that guy was just an ordinary Genin, and he was not even a puppet master. When he was fighting Uchiha, he didn't show the appearance of magnet-style bloody, which made him a little puzzled. Maybe it's because of inheriting the blood, but not awakening? Shi Shangyang thinks this possibility is very high, because just like Uchiha, every Uchiha clan inherits the Sharingan blood, but it needs a process of awakening, which limits the development of many Uchiha clan. Not like a white eye, he was born with the blood of the original ecology. In fact, no matter whether that Genin will use the magnet-style blood, it can't stop the fact that Master Shi Shangyang has magnet style. Dip. Congratulations to host for getting the ability card magnet style blood G has quadrupled and upgraded it to ability card magnet style blood G, Sand Iron. The card changed from purple to gold, and from this, Shi Shangyang was able to confirm that the guy did not awaken the magnet style, otherwise, the blood will be a golden card. How could it be just a purple card? But this way, Shi Shangyang was relieved, at least that guy was no longer a threat to Uchiha. Looking at the scene, you can see that the guy has exhausted all means, but he is still being beaten by Uchiha, and it is only a matter of time before he loses. Advertisement. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang set his target on the remaining San Shinobi ninjas. Since it is a war, there must be a sense of victory. Shi Shangyang has done a good job. He has not yet betrayed Konoha. Naturally do what a Konoha shinobi should do. With his help, the remaining San Shinobi ninjas didn't take too long to be killed, and soon, Uchiha also solved his opponent. At this point, this small-scale war is over, and the Konoha side has won an absolute victory. Of course, this is not without cost. In order to win the victory, the Konoha side also suffered losses. The number of Konoha shinobi killed in action alone was as many as 5, which shows that the scope of this war is not large, but the intensity is very strong. But this is already a rare victory for Konoha, wiping out an elite team of puppets in San Shinobi. If nothing else, this is definitely a huge loss for San Shinobi, and it can also relieve pressure elsewhere on the Konoha front. After the battle is cleaned up, the base is transferred. If San Shinobi's people can smear this way, it means that the position of this base has been exposed. This is fatal to any side in the war. In order to better hide themselves, it is also necessary to transfer the base. There is no need for Shi Shangyang to worry about these matters. Naturally, other people will handle them. Anyway, he just needs to follow the team. Through this battle, Shi Shangyang's name has been spread in the stronghold. Everyone here knows the existence of Shi Shangyang, and knows that he is a genius, the kind of genius who can kill powerful ninjas alone, which makes Konoha everyone felt very excited. As a teammate, Shi Shangyang has the name of a genius, so the only thing left for Sarutobi Asuma and Uchiha is the pressure. After all, one of them is the son of Hokage, and the other is the daughter of the team leader, Uchiha. It is normal for children from ordinary families to be under pressure. Therefore, the two of them did not dare to relax at all, and they were using every minute and second to cultivate and strengthen themselves. Advertisement. That's good. At least Shi Shangyang can get cards from the two from time to time, even if it's just an ordinary white card. It's a process that adds up to him. No need for their team to worry about the transfer of the base, so on the second day, they said goodbye to Naruto and went to the real front line. There is a distance between the stronghold and the front line, and the journey only takes about half a day. Due to the opening of the front line is divided into several areas, and the area where Shi Shangyang and the others arrived is already considered as a comparison of the combat intensity among several areas. It's normal, but even so, at the first moment of coming here, they have been arranged to enter the battle. This is a basic daily life on the front line. The ninjas here are either fighting every day, or on the way to fight. Konoha has invested a lot of power here. The number of Konoha shinobi in this area alone is already enough. The number of more than 300 is enough to show the pressure Konoha is facing now. Especially now that Konoha is out in the San Shinobi battle, Rock Shinobi has also launched an attack on Konoha, and even Cloud Shinobi is a little ready to move now, so the pressure is even greater, otherwise it will not be let children like Shi Shangyang and the others go directly into the battlefield. As for Konoha and San Shinobi, they are now ready for a lasting stalemate. In fact, it is a competition between two villages to see which village has the stronger bearing capacity. Therefore, it is estimated that it will be difficult to directly distinguish in a short period of time. Clear victory. Today, the situation on the battlefield has become a little weird. It seems that there are more enemies in this area than before. Even Shi Shangyang, who is not familiar with the situation here, noticed this, let alone other people, so the atmosphere seems very dignified. Chapter 32 San Shinobi's counterattack and general attack, for Flowers, Score. Shi Shangyang didn't know what happened, but the solemn atmosphere on the battlefield made him know that this war might be difficult. Because the San Shinobi side has invested heavily here, resulting in a military advantage, so the Konoha side is under great pressure. There are already a lot of Konoha shinobi in the 300, but the number of ninjas on the San Shinobi side is just intelligence. There are already more than 600 known, let alone those that have not been identified, so this is definitely not good news for Konoha. The atmosphere has become more and more solemn recently, giving people a feeling that the mountains and the rain are about to come and the building is full of wind. After the scale of the fight, they were switched off to rest. Is this war? Sarutobi Asuma asked. Yuhi Zhenheng was arranging her cutting tools, and she said without raising her head. Yes, this is war, it's cruel, right? Sarutobi Asuma nodded and opened his mouth, but he didn't know what to say. Hong Yuhi was also silent. These two battles made her also see the horror of war. Maybe the companions she knew 1 second would die in front of her eyes the next second, but she couldn't do anything and could only watch it. Look. Even if it wasn't for the protection of her father, Shi Shangyang, and Sarutobi Asuma, she didn't know if she could survive the battle. The cruelty already felt heavy. The two looked at Shi Shangyang, but found that the latter was lying on the ground with a grass clipping in his mouth, with Erlang's legs crossed, his hands resting on the back of his head, his legs still upturned, not to mention how comfortable he looked. For some reason, the two suddenly felt that the war didn't seem so scary anymore. At least the state shown by the guy in front of him clearly didn't take the war seriously. Yang, do you have anything to say? Sarutobi Asuma asked. Shi Shangyang regained his senses and asked in surprise, what did you say? Advertisement, about war. Sarutobi Asuma said. Shi Shangyang shook his head. There is nothing to say, this situation will last for a long time, even if this war is over, there will be another time, just get used to it. If you have the heart to worry about this here, it is better to think more about it. Think about how you can make yourself stronger, but... Sarutobi Asuma was very entangled, he always felt that there was something wrong with Shi Shangyang's words. This is Yuhi Zhenheng but said, Yangjun is right, you have to get used to this, the war will end, and at the same time, the war will not end, this is the status quo of the ninja world for a long time. Shi Shangyang chuckled and said, yes, peace is only relative, Konoha just kept the war outside, in fact there has never been peace in the Jonin world. You are all ninjas, then do it well, it's just what a ninja should do, don't think too much about it. Sarutobi Asuma sighed and was very confused. Especially after seeing the real war, he thought about a lot of things. Unfortunately, because of his young age, he has not yet formed a complete understanding, and many things cannot be answered. Are you all packed? Yuhi Zhenheng asked. I'm fine, Shi Shangyang said. Sarutobi Asuma and Kurenai Yuhi also nodded. Seeing this, Yuhi Zhenheng said solemnly. The next battle will be fierce, and I may not be able to take care of you anymore, so you must be careful and protect yourself on the battlefield. Sarutobi Asuma and Hong Yuhi nodded their heads. Yes, Teacher Zhenheng, I will protect Red, he said. Advertisement, I understand, Hong Yuhi also said solemnly. Both of them knew what Yuhi Mahong meant, because the next battle was exactly what it said, even if he was Jonin, he had to go all out, let alone them. Shi Shangyang stood up at this time, patted the ashes on his body at will, stretched his waist and said, Teacher Zhenheng, don't worry, I will be optimistic about them, and if I guessed correctly this time, it should be San Shinobi's side. Are you ready to start the total? There is no accurate information about this news, but Shi Shangyang has been sensitively aware of it. Yuhi Mako hesitated for a while, but then nodded and said, yes, according to the intelligence analysis, San Shinobi will indeed launch a total this time. We have received an undetermined intelligence. San Shinobi does not seem to be out. There is a problem, and the problem is likely to be their wind shadow. When Shi Shangyang heard the words, he immediately understood, and he secretly thought that it was indeed the case. It was the time when third case cage disappeared in the original plot. It seemed that San Shinobi couldn't bear it anymore. That's it, it seems that as long as San Shinobi's counterattack is repelled, even if the frontier is victorious, we will be able to deal with Rock Shinobi and Cloud Shinobi empty-handed, Shi Shangyang said. Yuhi nodded, and then said solemnly, next, Yang Jun, I hope you can go all out and stop hiding your strength. Because of the next battle, any negligence may kill you. Shi Shangyang was startled when he heard the words, and then grinned. Yes, Teacher Zhenheng, I will show all my strength in the next battle. Yuhi Zhenheng glanced at Shi Shangyang with deep meaning. I'm looking forward to your performance in the back. Chapter 33 The Big Battle with San Shinobi, for Flowers, Score. Shi Shangyang understood that Yuhi Zhenheng had already seen that he had kept his hands in previous battles, so he deliberately said such words, because he was worried that he would not pay enough attention to the next war and would suffer losses. Yuhi Zhenheng is an elite Jonin, and at this age, there are countless battles he has experienced in the past, and there are definitely many, and his eyesight is naturally not comparable to ordinary people. In fact, he has already speculated about the Shuiji on Shi Shangyang, but there is no conclusive evidence, and since Shi Shangyang is his team member, no matter how curious he is, he will not take the initiative to ask. After all, Shuiji is related to the biggest secret of a ninja, and Yuhi Mako naturally understands this. The team of 4 had already packed up, and then set off from this camp to the front of the battlefield. The task they now accept is to join the other teams and go to the front line of the war, where they will face San Shinobi's frontal attack, which is the biggest crisis they are about to encounter now. This situation can be said to be accidental, or it can be said to be inevitable. The composition of the Yuhi Red squad is relatively complicated, with Sarutobi Asuma, the son of Hokage. In fact, he has a certain advantage. The original plan was to come to the front line to experience it. There are many Konoha Jonin on the front line, so it is also not dangerous. But now it's just the other way around. It's precisely because the Konoha on this front is so powerful that San Shinobi piled all the power of the main attack here, so that the danger level of this front has now become the entire front. Above all, this is something that was not expected. But this doesn't matter to Shi Shangyang. He knows what he should do anyway, and he knows how to do it. The battlefield is located in a basin, surrounded by mountains and forests. The surrounding area is desolate, and the terrain is relatively open. Both sides have stationed their forces in this area, so that this area is regarded as the Third Ninja War, famous war spot. When the Yuhi Red Squad came here, most of the people on Konoha's side had assembled, nearly 300 people, and it looked dark. Advertisement: most of these people are members of the ninja clan, and the rest are civilian ninja origins. Just what Shi Shangyang saw. There are families such as Uchiha, Hyuga, Inuzuka, Nara, Akamichi, and Aburame. Good distinction. Shi Shangyang looked at a few ninjas of the Uchiha clan, very characteristic of Uchiha. All of them were driving Sharingan, staring intently at San Shinobi's position in the distance. At the other end of the line, there are ninjas of the Hyuga clan, similar to the Uchiha clan, who are also warning the surrounding with their white eyes. The ninjas at the scene performed their respective duties, but did not make any sound. In this atmosphere, even their breathing was suppressed, which shows the solemn atmosphere of the scene. Yuhi Zhenheng also had enough fame in Konoha to come to the front of the team and join a group of people. These people are the best among Konoha, and they are also the talkers on this front. Yuhi Mako can also be classified as one of them, but he has the responsibility of leading the team, so he does not participate in the daily decision-making. Shi Shangyang and the three of them stood in the back with a tacit understanding, quietly waiting for the order. Among those people was Nara Jun, whom Shi Shangyang had met last time, and the rest were the heads of various ninja tribes here. When Nara Jun saw Yuri's arrival, he turned his head to look at Shi Shangyang, smiled kindly at him, and said, "We are facing a lot of pressure this time. It seems that San Shinobi is putting all his chips on the table. Here, as far as I know, there are at least 50 Jonins on their side this time." Hearing this number, several people present frowned. "Is the information accurate?" someone asked. Nara-jun nodded. "The intelligence is not wrong. We should now consider how to win this war, because it has been delayed enough. As long as this war is won, San Shinobi will no longer have the strength to resist." Advertisement: the strength of resistance is definitely still there, but if this battle is won, then San Shinobi's will to fight will be sharply reduced, which is especially important to Konoha. "It seems that we can only rely on hard power," someone said solemnly. Nara-jun nodded. "In this case, resourcefulness is useless, and all he can do is press all his strength and win." While we were talking, I saw a figure flashing in the distance, and then a black ninja figure appeared on the other side of the battlefield. "Looks like San Shinobi can't wait," Nara-jun said. When Yuhi was really red, he glanced at the front with a solemn expression, then turned around and nodded slightly to the three Shi Shangyang. Sarutobi Asuma and Kurenai Yuhi took a deep breath and clasped kunai tightly, their palms full of sweat. Shi Shangyang pulled out the ninja sword silently, and just wanted to put the goggles on, but he thought of something. Instead he put the goggles away and smiled silently. "It seems that my battle to become famous should be here. Ask for flowers, score." Chapter 34: 3 kills on the battlefield, for flowers, score. In terms of popularity and reputation, Shi Shangyang is actually quite famous in this area. There are almost no Konoha shinobi people here who don't know him. After all, he killed 2 San Shinobi puppet teams, Jonin. He, in terms of age, can truly be called a genius. Konoha people have a different kind of attention to genius, which can be seen from Hitaki Kakashi's growth trajectory since childhood. And ninjas like Shi Shangyang are recognized by civilian ninjas. These people all hope that Shi Shangyang can grow up and become a role model among civilian ninjas. Even the current Shi Shangyang has a faint title of Killing King, describing that he can use all the geographical advantages to kill the enemy on the battlefield. It's just that Shi Shangyang doesn't like this name very much. In the words before the time travel, this name is no different from sterilization. He is not a mighty Shansen, and it is irritating to talk about this name. At this moment, there was an astonishing scream of killing in the distance ahead, and then San Shinobi's ninjas rushed towards this side like crazy. Of course, it is a premeditated and regular advance, not a rush. After all, it is a ninja. Even in a war of this scale, the ninja's strategy will still be implemented. Seeing this, many people on Konoha's side have raised their hearts. In the face of enemies who are multiples of their own, it is false to say that they are not nervous, but they cannot retreat, because they retreat, and the Kingdom of Fire and Konoha is in danger. They will never allow such a thing to happen. Gudong. Shi Shangyang clearly heard Sarutobi Asuma swallowing his saliva, and when he glanced away, he saw Yuhihika's slightly trembling body. That said, for teenagers like them, this kind of scene is really scary. "Calm down, the charge has nothing to do with the two of you. You just need to release ninjutsu and use ninja tools at the rear, and leave the rest to me and the adults," Shi Shangyang warned. If these words were said at ordinary times, the two would definitely refute them, but when they fell into their ears at this time, they suddenly found the backbone and grasped their position on the battlefield. Advertisement: Shi Shangyang didn't say much. He looked at the people in front of him and saw that they had given orders to charge, so he rushed out without any hesitation. Saw. His speed is very fast. Even when charging, there is a smile on his face. Nara-jun and the others did not expect Shi Shangyang to rush so fast, and some of them immediately changed their expressions. This guy. Someone was shocked. Yuhi Zhenheng smiled. Don't worry about him, maybe he will surprise me in this war. Seeing his determination, and the others didn't say anything, Nara-jun said, everyone, let's get started. The war started at this moment. Both sides rushed towards each other without fear of death. In this area, they fought fiercely, and Shi Shangyang, who rushed in the first place, naturally received special care. The San Shinobi side has already learned some information about Shi Shangyang, but the information is relatively general, and the personnel are mixed, so the ninja on the San Shinobi side of Shi Shangyang on the battlefield did not recognize who he was. But seeing a Konoha boy who dared to rush to the first place, many San Shinobi ninjas have already shown grinning. They plan to kill the boy directly and simply kill a new force belonging to Konoha. This kind of thing, no matter which village ninja will do. What appeared in front of Shi Shangyang at this time were the three ninjas with hideous smiles on their faces. They seemed to have faintly seen the next scene. The self-sufficient blade was about to cut the body of the young man in front of him, and then the young man fell on the ground. Painful wailing in a pool of blood. Advertisement. But after seeing the smile on Shi Shangyang's face, they suddenly felt a chill in their hearts. This is a battlefield. Has anyone seen a young man who can show a sincere smile on the battlefield? There is one in front of you. Before the three had time to think about it, Shi Shangyang's figure had already disappeared, and when he reappeared, he was behind the three of them, flicking the blood on the knife at will, and then continued to rush forward without stopping. How? The three of them widened their eyes and covered their necks with their hands, but they couldn't cover the blood that was rushing from their necks. At this moment, their bodies lost their strength, their eyes quickly lost focus, and they fell into the pool of blood with a puff. For Shi Shangyang, it is very easy to deal with such three opponents. Don't forget that he is systematic, and from the beginning to the present, he has been working hard. In other words, Shi Shangyang is growing stronger and stronger almost every moment, and even Shi Shangyang himself does not have an accurate concept of how powerful he is now. The Konoha shinobi fighters in the back, seeing such a neat and tidy scene, couldn't help but cheer up. At this time, Shi Shangyang had rushed to the front of the San Shinobi army. In front of him were a large number of San Shinobi ninjas. What he was facing were several ninjutsu with amazing attack power. The situation was desperate. But his smile was still inconvenient. Chapter 35 The unique style of Shi Shangyang, seeking flowers, scoring. Facing the overwhelming ninjutsu in front of him, Shi Shangyang's expression did not change, and his figure disappeared from the eyes of those San Shinobi ninjas. On it. This guy is courting death, and he even dares to jump up on the battlefield. Kill him. The San Shinobi ninjas clamored, but all the attacks on their hands greeted Shi Shangyang. Who let Shi Shangyang rush to the first place? This is equivalent to opening a group of ridicule on himself, which immediately attracted the attention of most people on San Shinobi's side. Wind style, fire style, earth style and even water style are all greeting Shi Shangyang, as well as the shuriken and kunai in pieces, and they have a posture of grinding Shi Shangyang into powder, and they are faced by others. In this situation, it is estimated that he has long been frightened. But Shi Shangyang is different. He just glanced at the sight, and immediately found the weak points of various attacks. His body was spinning in midair, and he waved his knife like a rapidly spinning top. When the kunai and the shuriken were shot down, the figure rushed directly into a flame and was engulfed. The ninjas on San Shinobi's side were delighted, but the ninjas on Konoha's side were shocked. They never thought that Shi Shangyang was so reckless and rushed directly into the opponent's fire-style ninjutsu. But just when everyone thought that Shi Shangyang was bound to die, the flames exploded abruptly, revealing the intact Shi Shangyang inside. No, it can't be said to be intact. At least his clothes were wet. If you look closely, you can find that when the flames exploded, there were still some water in them, but they were just evaporated by the flames. But Shi Shangyang just displayed a sea-level water style at that moment, wrapping his whole body with water flow. Advertisement at this time, Shi Shangyang was less than 2 meters above the ground, and there were only 4 San Shinobi ninjas below, and the composition of this area was the weakest. Under the horrified gazes of the 4 San Shinobi ninjas, Shi Shangyang turned his body again, and simultaneously threw out 2 steel wires and shot them into the distance. Chi. If you slow down, you will find that when Shi Shangyang fell in midair, he crossed a parabola and landed, passing through the middle of the 4. The blade seemed to have eyes and easily cut through the 4 of them. Throat, and then drifted away. Along with Shi Shangyang, there were also 4 blue cards that fell to the ground. As if they were attractive, they left with Shi Shangyang and fell onto Shi Shangyang's body. The whole process didn't even take a second. Shi Shangyang had already jumped into a group of San Shinobi. Before the person has landed, he has completed a ninjutsu seal. Fire-style dragon fire technique. The flames rushed forward along the 2 steel wires, and instantly turned into a wall of fire to separate the battlefield. San Shinobi, who was blocked by the 2 walls of fire, seemed to have a dozen or so people, but now it was blocked by the flames. On the way out, he could only focus on Shi Shangyang for a while, and attacked him. But all of this is under Shi Shangyang's calculation. From jumping to landing, to performing ninjutsu, he has already completed the analysis of the nearby area, which person's action is what, and which foot will they move next moment. What kind of actions will be taken, These are all under his observation and calculation. It is precisely because of this that he can easily complete this move. It is definitely impossible for him to fight these hundreds of people alone. He may be able to do it, but it will definitely consume too much energy. A scene like Uchiha Dance King, but with impure world reincarnation, infinite chakra and infinite physical strength blessed. Let him try it sometime. I am afraid that the Uchiha Dance King will have to do what he can. Advertisement therefore, the best way, and the most labor-saving way, is naturally to divide the battlefield. Shi Shangyang thinks this way, and does it at the same time. His characteristic is this: at any time, he will choose the method that is most beneficial to him, especially when fighting. Pull away. The attack of more than 10 people was also the same as ninjutsu and ninja tools flying together, but it was not as exaggerated as the attack he encountered in midair just now. This is because Shi Shangyang chose to cut in a very fortunate direction. There are at least 3 San Shinobi ninjas in front of him, and the rest are behind the 3. The people behind want to attack, unless they are included with the 3, but that would be an accidental injury to an ally. In this way, what Shi Shangyang had to face at the beginning was just an attack by 3 people, which was too easy for him. Needless to say, Shi Shangyang's physical skills were extremely fast. After landing, he just turned around and passed a few kunai before appearing in front of one person. The man was waving a ninja knife at Shi Shangyang, and Shi Shangyang's method was to deflect the blade slightly and hit the man's knife. Following this force, Shi Shangyang pressed down, and the man couldn't help it. Squatted down. At this time, Shi Shangyang's blade was already on the man's neck. Shi Shangyang didn't even exert any force, just took a step forward, and the man wiped the knife directly with his neck. The two passed by. Shi Shangyang didn't even look back at all, and rushed to the next opponent. Chapter 36: The first large-scale ninjutsu release, seeking flowers, ratings. Neat, decisive, without the slightest sloppiness. Shi Shangyang seems to be born for the battlefield. Facing this battlefield like a meat grinder, he seems to be at ease, but he is as relaxed as a fish in water. He raised the knife and fell, and every time the cold light of the blade flashed, someone would inevitably fall down. I didn't see him using too much strength. Everything seemed relaxed and calm, and even the expression on his face did not change. Shi Shangyang's battle is even full of a sense of beauty. One feels like a different kind of beauty, as if dancing in the crowd. In fact, Shi Shangyang has gradually understood the mentality and thoughts of Uchiha Dance King. Uchiha, who owns Sharingan, is born to show off his skills. Ninjutsu is their attack method as a ninja, but taijutsu and swordsmanship are where they show their talents. The real ability. Uchiha, who can perfectly use Sharingan to fight, their fighting styles are different, but they all have one characteristic, that is, like art, it is the art of killing, and it is the art of the battlefield. This pair of eyes awakened in battles and killings must only show their charm in battles and killings. This is the consistent style of Uchihas. Although Shi Shangyang is not the original Uchiha, he applied his own pair of 3-tomo Sharingan to ultimate. He did not pursue breakthroughs in pupil power or perfection in illusion. What he loves has always been insight, special. The ability to see and analyze everyone's actions, demeanor, and even various actions is what satisfies him the most. Combined with his usual calm style, he shows the current level of closeness. It is the art of killing in dance. It can even be said that what Shi Shangyang is doing now is more Uchiha than Uchiha. Pull away. The dozen or so people who were separated were just a few breaths of effort, and they were all killed by Shi Shangyang. Every time his movements were not large, he only stepped, turned, raised his sword, and chopped off. Or just throw out the kunai and shuriken, and keep turning his eyes back and forth, observing everything in front of him, and easily beheading these people at a speed comparable to 5 people. Wherever they passed, the bodies of more than a dozen people fell in a pool of blood, and their faces were still filled with panic and disbelief, as well as the cards floating on the ground. The flames went out, and the figure of Shi Shangyang disappeared with it, like a ghost, more like a shadow, walking through the battlefield, waving the chunin knife repeatedly, blocking one after another. Knife, and then come to the area that he likes, and then start again. Advertisement. His speed was so fast that before many people could react, their throats were cut by the ninja knife in his hand, or it was pierced through the chest. Where Shi Shangyang passed, one after another, the ninjas fell down, which soon attracted the attention of others. Gradually, San Shinobi gathered consciously and pressed towards Shi Shangyang. At this time, Shi Shangyang had already pierced from one side of the battlefield to the other, and the number of San Shinobi ninjas who died in his hands was at least 50. Among these people were Chunin and Genin, as well as 2 Jonin, and only these 2 Jonin stopped Shi Shangyang's pace for a moment, and at the same time attracted the attention of many people on San Shinobi's side. And this scene fell in the eyes of everyone on Konoha's side. They just felt incredible. Among them, Yui was really red, and he frowned, with a shocking look in his eyes. Shi Shangyang let out a breath, looked at the dozens of people rushing towards him, his eyes narrowed slightly, and then his hands began to form seals. Water-style water rush. Shi Shangyang puffed out his chest, and then spit out a large mouthful of water. The water was like a flood released from a dam, and instantly turned into an amazing wave, rushing forward. Boom. At this moment, the vibrating sound of the water waves reverberated in the battlefield, and those who almost heard the sound would subconsciously look towards the sound. Then they saw the flood-like waves rushing towards San Shinobi. This This exaggerated water style, unbelievable, how much chakra is this? Advertisement. Someone on the Konoha side couldn't help exclaiming. San Shinobi's side, especially the San Shinobi ninjas who were facing this scene, couldn't help but be astonished at this time. They never thought that a kid from Konoha could actually perform this level of magic. Damn it, use earth style to block, hurry up, someone in San Shinobi ordered. Yes. And then among the dozens of people, 20 or so people rushed out, forming a seal at the same time in the process, and then squatting and slapping their hands on the ground almost at the same time. Earth style earth flow wall, and dong dong dong. Clack clack. The ground was shaking slightly. In front of the people on San Shinobi's side, thick earth walls rose up from the ground, and then connected to each other end to end, forming an earth wall with a length of more than 200 meters. It is more than 10 meters high and more than 3 meters thick. The next moment, in the eyes of everyone, the giant waves were like 1,000 troops, slamming into the newly formed earth wall. Boom! In the thunder-like sound, everyone held their breaths. Chapter 37. Bring fear to the enemy, for flowers, score. The water was violent and raging, like a flood, hitting the wall of ninjutsu performed by many people. And the earth wall is large and thick, in this violent water flow, not to say that there is no loss, but it does block the water flow. The ninjas on San Shinobi's side suddenly smiled when they saw this. They did not expect that a young Konoha could actually perform such a powerful ninjutsu. It was really scary, but they also resisted it, although not to be proud of, but also feel fortunate. Unexpectedly, in the next moment, an orange-red fire appeared in front of their eyes, and the light soon seemed to be dazzling by the sudden addition of a sun in the field. Fire-style Hoahuoyu. Boom! It was like a gasoline bomb exploded. The sky-high flames shone all around, and the rolling heat wave burst out in an instant. The water that was still rolling was scorched. The moment the water and the fire contacted, a large amount of steam was generated, and the steam was washed away by the back. As soon as the fire burned, it instantly turned into a gust of wind like a storm. The amazing heat of these gusts of wind blew directly across the row of dirt walls and rushed towards the ninjas of San Shinobi. In an instant, the ninjas on San Shinobi's side felt the overwhelming heat, and they were shocked. The fire waves were more ferocious than expected. The billowing steam was like a volcanic eruption. Call. Heat is the hardest defense against, and this is the same in any world. Use wind style. I don't know who said it, and the ninjas on San Shinobi's side reacted immediately and hurriedly formed wind style. San Shinobi is best at wind style ninjutsu, which is related to the geographical characteristics of San Shinobi. There are strong winds and sands in the 4 seasons. Most of San Shinobi's ninja masters have a good wind style ninjutsu. At this time, there is no obstacle to use it. Advertisement, wind style great breakthrough, wind style wind chaos. Wind style triple swirl. Wind style. Many San Shinobi ninjas use wind style. Although they don't have uniforms, they look a bit messy and disorderly, but the wind blown by these ninjas still blows away the hot steam that is coming towards them, clearing a piece of it for them. Safe area. But what they didn't expect was that the steam on their side was blown away, but the steam did not disappear, but spread farther away, quickly covering most of the position where San Shinobi's side was. Seeing this scene, the people on the Konoha side were overjoyed, especially the ninjas of Hyuga and Uchiha. In this environment, Hyuga and Uchiha have a natural advantage, and for other Konoha shinobi, they can also do a lot with the location. After a while, Shi Shangyang finished the display of fire style, laughed lightly, and the figure disappeared from the place, plunged into the thick fog. All of this is in his calculations and assumptions, and he has anticipated this possibility since he cast water style. Yes, that's right, just a possibility. Because he guessed that San Shinobi would have several reactions, either using fire style to resist, or using earth style to resist, or using magnet style, but no matter which method, he has a corresponding response method. Sure enough, as he guessed, the people on San Shinobi's side chose the simplest and most direct method, earth style. In this way, his later plans can be used. When the people on the San Shinobi side resisted his water style, then the water flow can't take the people on the San Shinobi side in a short time. Shi Shangyang directly changed to fire style, water and fire. Incompatible, the two are mutually restrained, and water is naturally evaporated into hot steam. Advertisement. In this case, San Shinobi either does not move, and if he wants to move, he can only use wind style, and the consequence of using wind style is the current result. Shi Shangyang used water style from the very beginning, not to kill the enemy, but to pave the way for the current result. Judging from the current situation, Shi Shangyang felt that he did not make a mistake, and the enemy did follow him. Assuming that it was done, he spent a small price, that is, 2 chakras of the spell, and created a dense fog in this area. And these dense fogs are his best helpers. Entering the thick fog, Shi Shangyang thought that he was swimming like a fish in water, and seemed extremely adaptable. Under his pair of Sharingans, any changes in front of him in the thick fog could not escape his insight. Everywhere he passed, every San Shinobi ninja standing in front of him was killed by him with ease, and he didn't even use any ninjutsu. What? Help, help. A scream came out, and it looked extremely terrifying in the thick fog. At this moment, Shi Shangyang seemed to have mastered Miss Shinobi's assassination technique without a teacher. He shuttled through the thick fog like a ghost, harvesting the life of an enemy. Of course, this is a battlefield, and San Shinobi can't be an idiot, so naturally some people cast wind style at the first time to blow away the thick fog, and then some people reacted, and more people did so. But these are nothing to Shi Shangyang. All he wants is an opportunity. Even if the thick fog is blown away, it will not stop him from moving forward. Because fear is his greatest gain, only fear can make him harvest more cards in the battlefield. Chapter 38 The Harvest that exceeds the sum of the past, seeking flowers, scoring. It is precisely because of this that every enemy who fell on Shi Shangyang was not killed immediately, but was left half a breath by Shi Shangyang. They could shout and scream, but they were fatally wounded. Therefore, the screams and screams before dying will increase with Shi Shangyang's actions, and this is the fear he will bring to the San Shinobi side. He is rushing for time now. When the thick fog on the battlefield is blown away, his figure will inevitably be exposed, but he doesn't care. What he cares about is how many enemies he can handle before that, and how many enemies he can handle. How many enemies are frightened, and how many people are shocked. In Shi Shangyang's view, the battlefield is indeed terrifying. Even at this stage, he may suffer disasters if he is not careful, but from another perspective, is this battlefield not his sheepfold? As long as the operation is good, the crisis is also a big gain. For Shi Shangyang, adventure was never an option, but a necessity, otherwise, he would not have made the decision to betray Konoha in the first place. With the passage of time, the screams became more and more frequent. Shi Shangyang was like a ghost on the battlefield, elusive, no one could find him, even the puppet team of San Shinobi couldn't find him. Just because Shi Shangyang's methods for the puppet master are the same as Grandmaster, he knows what methods they will have, so he can avoid the traps that the puppet master has set in advance, which is not difficult for him. Soon, San Shinobi cleared a lot of space and dispelled a large area of dense fog. When the thick fog was dissipated, San Shinobi could easily see the scattered and fallen companions on the ground. The number of them was unknown, maybe 20 or 50, because there were still many places of thick fog. Not dispelled. Where is he? Someone shouted. Everyone followed the sound and saw Shi Shangyang grinned at them at the edge of a thick fog, and then plunged into the thick fog. Damn, kill him. Yes, you can't let that kid go. The ninjas on the San Shinobi side felt that their dignity was being challenged. Their pride did not allow a Konoha kid to wreak havoc in their positions. Coupled with the mourning of the fallen comrades on the ground, many people felt angrily rushed in. There were still all kinds of screams and wailing in the thick fog, and more San Shinobi ninjas rushed in after being agitated by the sound. They were very angry, but they did not lose their minds. Many San Shinobi ninjas were still dispersing the thick fog, and the thick fog in this area was quickly dispelled. Advertisement. The whole process sounds like a long time, but in fact, less than a minute has passed since Shi Shangyang created the dense fog. In this minute, the Konoha side has been in contact with the San Shinobi side, and the war between the two sides started instantly. Judging from the situation of the entire battlefield, the movement caused by Shi Shangyang is actually not too big, but the impact is not large. Shao, at least no matter who the two sides are, they already know that there is a little ghost like him in the battlefield. Especially the ninjas on the San Shinobi side, they wanted to kill Shi Shangyang directly at this time, but when all the thick fog was dissipated, the scene that was revealed to everyone made the people on the San Shinobi side stunned, one by one. Trembling. Seeing that in the open space, countless corpses were piled up in different directions, like a small mountain. It's a bit exaggerated to say that it is a small mountain bag, and the scene where the bodies are piled up together is really shocking. The most shocking scene was the scene in the eyes of everyone, just because Shi Shangyang was standing on the top of the hill, covered in blood, even dripping from his hair, but there was nothing on his face. Bloodshot stained, and his expression, still smiling brightly. Somehow, after seeing this scene, San Shinobi's ninjas suddenly felt a chill in their hearts, just because the impact of this scene was too great. Who would have thought that a kid from Konoha would actually kill so many of their companions? It was incredible. In the battlefield, basically no matter who the two sides are, they will sacrifice their lives. This is the norm. But this does not mean that they will not be afraid. Perhaps the strong ones among them will not be afraid, because they are used to it, but there will also be fear, which is also a necessity. And now, what Shi Shangyang is showing is densely packed cards, so many that he can't even count them. White, blue, and even purple, but unfortunately, no golden cards have appeared on the battlefield so far. But he has no regrets, because Shi Shangyang is very clear that this time the harvest will be the sum of his previous harvests, or even more. Those eyes. Suddenly someone in the field exclaimed that someone had discovered the difference between Shi Shangyang. Those blood-red eyes, as well as the three-goose jade in the eyes, all indicated a fact. Advertisement. Damn, it's Uchiha's kid. Damn, it's Uchiha again. That guy. The people on San Shinobi's side were furious. But the people on Konoha's side were stunned at this time, especially Yuhi Junhong and the others, they were even more incredible. It really is Uchiha. No wonder. No wonder his fighting style is so familiar. It seems that my guess is not wrong. Yuhi Junhong muttered. Yangjun, he is actually Uchiha. Yuhi Hong felt inconceivable. Ah, what's going on? Sarutobi Asuma also widened his eyes. On Konoha's side, several Uchiha looked at each other, and they all saw surprise and doubt in their eyes. What's the matter? Does our family have this child? His name is Shi Shangyang. It seems that he is not from our Uchiha. How is that possible? Why not Uchiha? Why would there be a Sharingan? Could it be the bloodline left behind by someone in the clan? Great. Uchiha has another genius. Chapter 39 Uchiha's way of greeting, seeking flowers, scoring. At this moment, the battlefield stopped for a moment because of Shi Shangyang, and everyone looked at him subconsciously, as if they were watching a miracle. The people on San Shinobi's side were extremely angry, and while they were angry, there were also fears, but more of them were still unconvinced and wanted to kill the kid in their eyes. But the people on Konoha's side are excited. No matter what kind of successor Shi Shangyang is, as long as they can win this battle, it will be the best for them. Nothing is better than Konoha, who has another powerful genius. It can be exciting. Naturally, Shi Shangyang would not miss such an opportunity. As soon as his mind moved, all the cards flew towards him quickly, and they were collected by him in an instant. The next moment, countless system prompts sounded in his ears. Dip. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the ability card Wind Style, Vacuum Sphere. Close black lens bracket. Drop. Congratulations to host for getting the ability card Fire Style. Close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations to the host for getting the ability card Wind Style Comet. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket drop. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket drop. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket drop. Close black lens bracket. ... The system prompts were almost connected, and Shi Shangyang was immersed in it. The prompts represented his gains at this time, and each sound was the foundation of his strength. At this time, these sounds came together and gave him the feeling of like standing on top of the world. Of course, this is just an illusion. Shi Shangyang soon woke up from the illusion and began to organize his harvest. Advertisement. There are more than 100 cards in total, of which 7 are purple cards. 2 of these 7 purple cards are experience cards. One is called Human Puppet Transformation Experience, which has tripled and become a Grandmaster level golden card. The other purple card is the Chakra Core Manufacturing Experience, which is also a kind of puppet manufacturing, but this is another direction for making human puppets. The human body is used as a material to create a chakra core, and then the human body can be kept before death. All kinds of ninjutsu, and the above Human Puppet Transformation Experience are considered as supporting technologies, and the increase is 6 times, and the final result is a golden card of perfect level. These 2 cards alone have given Shi Shangyang a huge harvest. Among the other 5 cards, 3 are Genin level chakras, and the gain is not large, and the result is a dark purple card, which is still Genin level chakra, but for Shi Shangyang, such gains are not small. 3 Genin level chakras, his chakra income has more than doubled his own chakra surge. The remaining 2 purple cards are item cards, one of which is a puppet named Black Hand Beast. The other is a ninja sword called Kusanagi. This Kusanagi is not another Kusanagi. In fact, in the world of ninja, the Kusanagi sword is only a form and quality. It belongs to the same form, and the quality can reach this level, and it can be named Kusanagi. The original plot player Orochimaru has it in his hands. There are at least 3 Kusanagi swords. These are the harvest of purple cards, and there are more blue and white cards left. Among the hundreds of cards, blue cards took up 1/3, and the rest were all white cards. Most of the blue cards are low-level ninjutsu, including the 4 elements of water, fire, earth and wind, and even a few lightning-style ninjutsu, but the level is not high. But these low-level ninjutsu, after obtaining various multipliers, is an even greater gain for Shi Shangyang. Although he can't be called an encyclopedia of ninjutsu now, the master's ninjutsu is also in the battlefield. The largest number, even the ninjas of the Uchiha clan can't compare to this. The white cards are mostly some ninja tools, such as kunai, shuriken, detonating talisman, steel wire, 1,000 books, ninja swords. In short, there are various kinds, including a wide range. There are too many things, especially after the increase, the quantity is more guaranteed. Shi Shangyang can't use it temporarily, so these cards are temporarily stored in the card bag for later use. It seems that it takes a long time to sort out these things, but in fact it only takes 1 or 2 breaths. For Shi Shangyang, it is just a matter of thinking. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang's smile grew brighter, and then began to seal. Fire style fire extinguishing arrow. Advertisement. Now that he has revealed his Sharingan, it is natural to say hello in Uchiha's way. As for the way to say hello to Uchiha, that is naturally fire style. Among them, the most impressive thing is that only Uchiha Dance King appeared in the 4th ninja battle. He has no intention of imitating, but it is the only way to show a similar haki. What he has to do now, is to deepen this impression and let everyone present remember it. Next moment. Boom. In the sound like an explosion, the fire wave rose into the sky, rushed forward like a tsunami, and rushed directly into the array of San Shinobi's side, instantly bringing back all San Shinobi ninjas. Hateful. Kill that guy. This level of fire style, are you kidding me? Damn, hurry up and use water style or wind style. Use wind style, not water style. The people on San Shinobi's side reacted, and their faces changed wildly. Chapter 40. Attention from Uchiha, seeking flowers, rating. Hey, you say it's a coincidence. Among the several ninjas of Konohaichi Fang Yuziya, someone just broke out the ability card of Kuohuoyao. This is B-level ninjutsu, so it is still blue. The card is only dark blue, and then through the system boost, the master difficulty plummeted for Shi Shangyang. The biggest feature of this technique is that it liquefies the flames. It is not a real liquefaction, but because of the change in the characteristics of chakra, the flames have a water-like texture after being spit out of the mouth. Just imagine how big the scene is when the waves roll under a water-style ninjutsu. Then the current arrogant fire-extinguishing arrow has the characteristics of rolling waves. It is like water, and the flames are rolling and surging forward. It is replaced by a general fire-style attack, which can be completely resisted by water-style or wind-style. If you use water-style, then you will naturally try the same process just now. Because water and fire are incompatible, the two together produce water vapor. After suffering a loss, people on the San Shinobi side are naturally reluctant to eat the first time. Second time, so they chose wind style. If it is a normal fire style, it will indeed be extinguished if it is blown by the wind style, but Shi Shangyang can't think of what San Shinobi can think of. But don't forget, Shi Shangyang is very good at calculating, but he also has his own plans for using the art of arrogant fire to extinguish arrows. Sure enough, the ninjas on San Shinobi's side reacted and immediately started using wind style one by one to resist the wave of fire rushing towards them. Wind style great breakthrough. Wind style wind cut. Wind style kamikaze. Wind style 14 o'clock. The wind style ninjutsu was displayed one by one, and immediately attacked the front, and then the faces of the ninjas on San Shinobi's side changed. Advertisement. As I said just now, there is a feature of this technique, that the flame is like water. Although it is not real water, if you make an analogy, the flame under this technique will be like magma, with a unique texture. Just blowing it with the wind can't blow it open at all. On the contrary, the fire uses the wind to burn more and more vigorously. Originally, it was just a raging flame like a huge wave. It was attacked by countless wind styles, and it exploded like a bomb, and the flames scattered around, but most of them fell on San Shinobi's array. Middle. Don't forget, Shi Shangyang is not in the Konoha side now, but is surrounded by San Shinobi side. This time, it's like a falling meteor. Let's not say that the lethality is not great, but bear with it. The spread of the technique is definitely not small. In an instant, the entire San Shinobi array became a mess. The San Shinobi ninjas quickly avoided the flaming fireballs that fell from the sky, or they used ninjutsu to put out the fireballs, so that the advantage of attacking Konoha suddenly slowed down. And the people on Konoha's side are not stupid. Seeing this scene, they naturally know what to do. They have no advantage in numbers. The ninjas on Konoha's side naturally have to seize this rare opportunity. Squad Hyuga. Mark the opponent's weak point. Squad fire style is ready. The Aburame family. Go and remove the others puppet masters, Nara's ninjas, and cooperate with the Aburame family to execute the order. Squad Akamaiki. Use the multiplication technique to divide the battlefield, and Squad Inuzuka kills them. The Uchihas assigned personnel to protect Shi Shangyang from attacking him, and the rest cooperated with the Inuzuka team to attack. Assassination Squad move freely, choose your respective goals. The rest, fight with me. In Konoha's array, Narajun directly issued an order. He is one of the decision makers in Konoha's battlefield area. As a mind, the order at this time is very clear. When the words fall, everyone should be, and then one by one quickly act. Advertisement. Compared with the mess on San Shinobi's side, almost everyone on Konoha's side has their own tasks. They know how to cooperate and maximize the strength of the team. Once they come up, San Shinobi's side has suffered tremendous pressure. The order continued, and while the San Shinobi array was chaotic, the set goal was quickly achieved. At this point, the Konoha side was relieved a lot, because they knew that their side had achieved the advantage on the battlefield and had control of the field. Possible. On Shi Shangyang's side, after the end of the ninjutsu, he was about to leave for San Shinobi's formation, but was stopped by three Uchihas. Uchiha, who was headed, also revealed Sangoyu, with a serious expression on his face, and said solemnly, "Next, you need to obey my orders, and you can't be like this anymore." Shi Shangyang naturally heard the order given by Narajun just now, but he didn't plan to follow this Uchiha's words, so he just smiled and said, "I'm sorry, I have my own plans, and please don't stop me, because I'm not Uchiha." When the words were over, he glanced at the other two Uchihas, nodded to the leader Uchiha, and then rushed directly past them. "Brother Keisuke, do you want to stop him?" A Uchiha asked. Uchiha Jonin named Uchiha Keisuke shook his head and said solemnly, "His Sharingan can't be fake, he awakened Sangoyu at this age. In the history of the entire Uchiha family, the more worthy of a genius, we must protect him. Because he is the hope of Uchiha's rise, understand?" "Yes, I understand, Keisuke bro." That Uchiha said. "Well, we can die if necessary, but he must return to Konoha safely. Back to Uchiha, let's go." When the words fell, the three rushed out with Shi Shangyang. Chapter 41 Like an elves on the battlefield, for flowers, score. However, the three of Uchiha Keisuke found that it seemed that the three of them couldn't keep up with Shi Shangyang's speed at all. After Shi Shangyang rushed out of the spot, he he was like a cannonball, and his speed was amazing. More importantly, he could take advantage of any terrain conditions to easily hide his figure. Disappeared from people's eyes, as if invisible. The three of them with Sharingan are naturally impossible to lose their goals, but even if they can see with their eyes, they can't keep up with their actions. Speed. If only that was the case. What really shocked them was that Shi Shangyang was in this process. Almost every time his body changed, an enemy would fall to the ground, and even their Sharingan had some incapable shooting speed, which was amazing. What should I do, big brother Keisuke? A Uchiha asked in a daze. Chase. Uchiha Keisuke's face is not very good looking, but at this time, they have no other way but to catch up with Shi Shangyang. At the same time, he is still very anxious, for fear that Shi Shangyang will be injured in this situation. It is that Shi Shangyang's actions are too much, taking risks, rushing directly into the enemy line to kill the enemy. In this battle, it is simply an act of seeking death. But now he has to sigh. Shi Shangyang's ability is really unimaginable. So young, he has already started 3 Tomo Sharingan early, and ninjutsu and taijutsu seem to be short-lived. Bored, even in the entire Uchiha clan, no one can reach this level at his age. At the same time, he was still worried about one thing, and that was whether this extremely outstanding teenager could return to Uchiha normally after this war. Judging from the state he has just contacted with, he does not seem to have the idea of returning to Uchiha. This is something that Uchiha Keisuke cannot accept, no matter what his surname is or who his parents are. The blood of Uchiha, then the other party is a member of the Uchiha clan. What Uchiha Keisuke is worried about is whether the village will use this matter to make conditions with Uchiha. As one of Uchiha's backbones, he is now very clear that since second Hokage, there has been an obvious relationship between Uchiha and the village. Gap. Advertisement. And with the passage of time, this estrangement has not diminished at all, but has intensified. Now there are more and more people in the family who complain about the village, which makes him feel uneasy. The appearance of this young man may be a good thing for Uchiha, but not necessarily for the village. Thinking of this, Uchiha Keisuke realized that he had actually lost his goal, and Shi Shangyang disappeared directly from his sight. What happened? He was shocked. Sharingan was spinning rapidly under strict control, searching frantically in the battlefield. Over there. The other person suddenly made a sound and pointed in one direction. There is the central rear position of San Shinobi's position, and it is also the true elite of San Shinobi's side. Not good. Uchiha Keisuke was startled in his heart, and subconsciously rushed over there, and at the same time, his heart was flustered, secretly, kid, you must not have any problems. But the next moment, he and the other 2 Uchihas grew their mouths. I saw there. A person like a dancer and elves on the battlefield, swimming among several powerful San Shinobi ninjas. His stature is amazing, but the most incredible thing is his every move. The unique rhythm contained in it. Come on, are you kidding me? Can Sharingan reach this level? A Uchiha opened his mouth wide. Advertisement. Uchiha Keisuke also widened his eyes with disbelief on his face. In the sight of the 3 of them, Shi Shangyang's movements were not large, but he could easily avoid any attack from any place every time. Shangyang easily avoided. It's really like dancing in the battlefield. There is no sense of panic, some are just a kind of admirable perfection. It seems that he masters the enemy's every move, and already knows where the enemy's attack will come from. It doesn't take much effort to deal with it easily. Jingle jingle. The ninja sword in Shi Shangyang's hand collided with the enemy's ninja tool, sparks splashed everywhere, but every time he left with a light touch, Shi Shangyang either used strength to fight, or changed his moves according to the situation. Place to attack. It was just a few breaths of effort, and the few Hanyin ninjas who besieged Shi Shangyang had a lot of wounds on their bodies. One of the puppet masters was even worse. Shi Shangyang cut off one of his arms, and Shi Shangyang used a special technique to remove the joints of the puppet, making it directly lose its combat power. Puff puff. Shi Shangyang's body was pulsating, and the ninja knife in his hand was like a living thing. He easily left a gap in the throats of several people, and then Shi Shangyang floated away. His Sharingan has been developed to an incredible level. Uchiha Keisuke admired. Chapter 42 Shi Shangyang's terrifying, for flowers, score. The situation in the battlefield is changing rapidly. It is possible that 1 second has an advantage in 1 second, and the next second may usher in a drastic change. But this point is not very applicable on the battlefield at this time, just because of the existence of Shi Shangyang. He has restrained the attention of too many people by himself, especially the people on San Shinobi's side, and now they hate him even more, because it is obvious to the naked eye. Because of Shi Shangyang, now San Shinobi's side has fallen into a disadvantage. He didn't take advantage of the number of people that he should have, and now the battlefield is divided by the ninjas of Konoha, so that the strength of San Shinobi's side cannot hit a single place. The nature of war is like this. Strength is often not the key factor in determining victory. The real key lies in people's ideas. In this regard, Konoha does better than San Shinobi. First divide the battlefield, and then start to encircle and suppress them, or destroy them one by one. There are far more choices in front of Konoha than San Shinobi. Especially now, because Shi Shangyang jumped directly to the rear of San Shinobi's camp, diverting too many people's attention, so that San Shinobi's side can't even issue battle orders effectively. In this way, Under the effective offensive of Konoha, the fighting situation of San Shinobi's side became more and more depressed. Why did you, Shi Shangyang, rush into the battlefield again? Of course he had his own plans. Shi Shangyang has already seen the situation on the battlefield. It is very clear that if you want to win this battle, you must first make San Shinobi's side chaotic, and the best way is to directly defeat San Shinobi on the battlefield. Decision-making level. It can be said to capture the thief first to capture the king. Advertisement. But this is very difficult. Let's not say whether he can do it now. Even if he can do it, he will have to expose a lot of methods. This is something he is unwilling to do at this stage. Therefore, we can only use means that conform to the current human design to do this, so the pressure is not small. Fortunately, from Konoha to the present, he has been deliberately maintaining his genius personality. From Yuhi Mahong to the present Uchiha, they have no doubts. One of the advantages of exposing Sharingan is that he uses some special means to have a better explanation. Anyway, he has the blood of Sharingan, so it is understandable to exaggerate his performance. So under his intentional control, very quickly, San Shinobi's side withdrew its strength, used to surround him, and rescue San Shinobi's high level on the battlefield. The people at San Shinobi knew very well that if Shi Shangyang smashed the upper echelons of the battlefield in one fell swoop, there would be no chance of victory in this battle. But that's exactly what Shi Shangyang wanted. In the battlefield at this time, one card after another is floating, not as many as before, but if the number is counted, there are as many as 1 or 20 at least. These cards are all blue cards, and there are even 3 purple cards among them, all of which were dropped by San Shinobi's backside against Shi Shangyang's ninjas, just because these ninjas are San Shinobi's elite and the backbone of San Shinobi. And further back, is the high level on the San Shinobi battlefield. Because of Shi Shangyang's existence, there are already many San Shinobi ninjas gathered there and began to shrink their defenses. It's really Shi Shangyang's performance is too fierce. Who can imagine that such a young man has shown a terrible strength like a killing god on the battlefield, making people inexplicably think that every Uchiha is a monster on the battlefield. But this is not seen from other Uchihas. Those Uchihas fighting on the battlefield look really good, but they are not beyond the scope of normal ninjas. Advertisement. And Shi Shangyang's feeling is no longer comparable to that of a normal person, which is very scary. At this time, Shi Shangyang directly collected those cards, and then still deliberately controlled the killing power, about to defeat the opponent, but did not let the opponent die directly. This is the case everywhere. He clearly has the ability to break into the back of San Shinobi, but he didn't do this. Instead he rushed in from the outside a little bit, which brought enough mental pressure to San Shinobi's side. No one knows what Shi Shangyang is going to do, but he can only see that Shi Shangyang's methods are getting more and more fierce. As time went on, more and more people fell on the battlefield, including San Shinobi and Konoha, but relatively speaking, San Shinobi lost more. From the beginning of the battle to the present, they have already fallen. No less than 300 people, this is almost half of the battle loss. On the other hand, on Konoha's side, there are less than 100 people who have fallen. Such a battle damage ratio can already explain the seriousness of the situation. Gradually, the hearts of the ninjas on San Shinobi's side began to float, and they already felt the pressure, especially Shi Shangyang's ghostly figure in the battlefield made them feel a lot of pressure, and even produced a lot of fear. This battle, Shi Shangyang will definitely become famous. Finally, Uchiha Keisuke and the others caught up with Shi Shangyang. After Shi Shangyang easily beheaded an enemy, he said, "Don't rush too far, it's dangerous." Shi Shangyang just glanced at the 3 of them and shook his head slightly. He didn't say much, but he didn't do anything, but stood still and silently observed the situation on the battlefield. Chapter 43 The Sealing Technique of the Golden Card, for Flowers, Score. At this time, Shi Shangyang, the blood on his body was already thick, and his original clothes had been dyed dark red. No need to get close to him, he could smell the strong bloody smell on his body, even if Uchiha Keisuke was so accustomed to it. Those who fought, couldn't help but frown slightly. On the other hand, Shi Shangyang, there is still no blood on his face at this time, a pair of Sharingan is very clear, and he did not lose his mind during the battle, and he can see the real calmness on his face, as if the battle just now was just very cool to him. Just an ordinary thing. As soon as he stopped, Uchiha Keisuke and the 3 of them became nervous, for no other reason, just because this was a battlefield, and it was still in the array of San Shinobi's side, so there was no need to say more about the danger. But it is very strange, even though Shi Shangyang had stopped, no one took the initiative to attack him, which is very abnormal. But if you take a closer look at the battlefield, especially those San Shinobi ninja corpses lying on the ground around Shi Shangyang, it is not difficult to answer this question. Shi Shangyang is not tired, but he is mentally exhausted. Sharingan is the eye of spiritual reflection. Using Sharingan consumes a lot of pupil power, and consumption of pupil power actually consumes spirit. Shi Shangyang is very clear about this. From the start of the battle to the present, he has been in a high-intensity battle throughout the entire process, and he has also been using Sharingan. Under this intensity of battle, it is estimated that other Uchihas would have been paralyzed, but he easily persevered. But what I have to say is that this level of fighting is indeed a burden for the body, especially for the spirit of the eyes, and it is not a small burden, which means that Shi Shangyang's disciples are strong, so they can easily persevere. Down. But this is not without consequences. Shi Shangyang can persevere, but what should be consumed will still be consumed, so it is normal for him to feel a little tired now that he has lost some mental power. It's not that he can't keep fighting, it's just that he doesn't want to keep fighting. As for the reason, you can see from the cards that pop up from time to time, his hard work from the beginning to the present has finally paid off. There are not many cards, but the quality is not bad, and there are 2 more purple cards in them. Advertisement. In addition to the 3 purple cards in the batch just harvested, there were 5 more purple cards in just a short while. Among the 5 cards, 4 are puppets. After the increase, they will become high-quality puppets. This is something that Shi Shangyang did not expect. In this stop with San Shinobi, he has already gained several puppets. If it goes on like this, Shi Shangyang felt that he could be transferred directly to become a puppet master. But on second thought, fighting San Shinobi has gained a puppet master, but what about fighting Rock Shinobi? Is it possible to gain more Earth-style ninjutsu? Also, is there any special blood follower from Rock Shinobi? What if it was a fight with Cloud Shinobi? Lightning-style ninjutsu should also be indispensable, right? Thinking this way, Shi Shangyang felt inexplicably that war was not a bad thing for him. Oh, what a strange idea. Shi Shangyang took back his thoughts and continued to organize his harvest. The last palm of the purple card is a special ninjutsu. To be precise, it is a sealing technique called cloth binding. After being amplified by the system 6 times, it directly becomes a golden card, and its name also becomes virtual cloth binding. The effect is somewhat similar to the adamantine sealing chains of the Uzumaki family, but the process and method are different. This can be regarded as a supplement to Shi Shangyang's shortcomings. He has not yet obtained the sealing technique, and this sealing technique is still the first, which will be of great help to his future development. Not to mention anything else, the sealing technique can be said to be a powerful weapon against tailed beasts. With this sealing technique, Shi Shangyang will also have the ability to capture tailed beasts in the future. As for whether or not to capture the tailed beast, Shi Shangyang has not considered it that far, and he can't tell what will happen in the future, but thinking about the mastermind behind the ninja world, he feels that he should make some preparations in advance. After all, the water in the ninja world not shallow. The other cards, such as ninjutsu and ninja tools as usual, couldn't make Shi Shangyang's heart any longer, so they were directly stored in the card pack for later use. Advertisement. At this time, he glanced at the 3 Uchihas present, and his thoughts changed, but the smile on his face did not change. You don't have to protect me here, just do what you should do, he said. Uchiha Keisuke shook his head, his face still serious. Our task now is to protect you. After the war is over, I will not let you out of my sight. Shi Shangyang didn't have any anger. He could understand what the other party did. If it was him, he would have done it more directly than this. If that's the case, it should be fine for me to quit the fight now, right? Shi Shangyang asked. Uchiha Keisuke looked happy when he heard the words. This was exactly what he wanted to say, for fear of hurting Shi Shangyang's self-esteem and making him unhappy, but he didn't expect Shi Shangyang to say it himself. Sure. Shi Shangyang nodded when he heard the words, not surprised. The reason why he wants to quit the battle is just to give people the feeling that he can no longer fight, because from the beginning, he has been feeling an inexplicable gaze that has been placed on himself. Someone was watching him outside the battlefield, this was Shi Shangyang's feeling, and he also had some guesses in his heart. Chapter 44 Disadvantages of Sharingan, Seeking Flowers, Scoring. During this time period, who would care so much about a battlefield in the Third Ninja World War? Especially the battle between Konoha and San Shinobi, which is a bit intriguing. If Shi Shangyang doesn't know the plot, even if there is a plug-in, he will only be confused at most, but now it is different, he knows the plot very well who is in the dark, except for the dance king of the Uchiha family, who is not at this moment. There will be a second person watching over him. It looks like I've been selected. Ha ha ha, it's really interesting. Shi Shangyang didn't worry at all, instead he became interested. In fact, he has always been interested in the Uchiha dance king who is hiding in secret, no. To be precise, I really wanted to meet him. As for the reason, it's easy to say. He is a little greedy for the other's eyes, so he won't say Rinnegan, even if it's just Mangekyo. For him, being able to get Mangekyo can be considered a profit, if he can open his eyes, tisk tisk, I dare not think how long it will take to do it. If nothing else, the evolution of 3-tomo Sharingan into Mangekyo requires strong mental stimulation. Shi Shangyang would like to call Uchiha's lunatic the strongest. With that level of mental stimulation, let alone Uchiha, any ordinary person would have to collapse. It's also a shame that Uchiha has a Sharingan, and he can open his eyes with the mental mutation after a huge stimulation, otherwise Uchiha's people will be crazy. Shi Shangyang felt that he was just an ordinary person, and he really suffered from huge mental stimulation. He was afraid that he might be schizophrenic. Therefore, the conventional way of opening his eyes was absolutely not advisable for him. Especially when he is now the master of 3-tomo Sharingan, he can clearly find the influence of Sharingan on him. As I said before, he was just an ordinary person before the time travel. The great thing is that he plays games better. He is very calm when playing games, and even calmness is also his characteristic. He will think more about other things. This is also him. Few features. But after crossing Strictly speaking, after owning Sharingan, he found that his current decisions and actions often carried a kind of madness. Whether it is the decision to betray Konoha, or the various calculations and plans after coming to the front line, it is somewhat inconsistent with the mentality of ordinary people. This can be said to be arrogance after crossing, or it can be said that there is a plug-in afterwards. He was fearless, but when he really thought about it, it was the influence of the unique yin attribute chakra in Sharingan, which amplified some emotions in his character. This kind of change is very difficult to detect. After all, it is difficult for a person to find any changes in his own spirit. If Shi Shangyang's knowledge of Sharingan far exceeds that of anyone in the ninja world, he probably would not have thought of this. Advertisement. Shi Shangyang knows very well that Uchiha's people have extremes, either ultimate love or extreme hate. The former are Uchiha Shisui, Uchiha Itachi, and the latter are Uchiha Obito and Uchiha Madara. These are all changes caused by the Sharingan Bardo attribute, chakra. In this regard, there is no such drawback in the eyes, at least no matter how the Hyuga family thinks about it. Personality characteristics are more normal than Uchiha. Of course, let's not mention Hyuga's old sectarian system for the time being. It is a brain-damaged system that will be criticized and spurned no matter what world it is placed in. There is nothing to brag about. So having said that, this is the disadvantage brought by Sharingan. When Shi Shangyang has a clear understanding of himself, the influence on his personality is not great. Strictly speaking, there is nothing wrong with it, but Sharingan's yin attribute, chakra changes in aspects will not be a good thing, so Shi Shangyang naturally wants to solve this problem. And the best way to solve this problem is to either obtain the power of Yongdun and form the power of Sen Luo Wan Dao in oneself, or to take this process to the ultimate and have Mangekyo Sharingan. That's right, Mangekyo Sharingan is the ultimate of Uchiha's power, and the eternal Mangekyo above that is not strictly Uchiha's power, because it is Mangekyo that fuses with another person. In fact, it fuses with another yin chakra, and makes up for it. All the shortcomings of the single Sharingan in the bloodline are all. Shi Shangyang is very aware of the solution to this kind of problem, so it is inevitable for Mangekyo. As for how to obtain it, it may be an opportunity now. Of course, Uchiha Dance King is only one of the alternative targets, and the degree of danger is relatively high, so Shi Shangyang has another candidate besides this, that is Uchiha's patriarch, Uchiha Fugaku. According to the timeline of the plot, Uchiha Fugaku should have awakened Mangekyo now, and he is Shi Shangyang's primary target. After all, in terms of difficulty, getting Uchiha Fugaku is far easier than getting Uchiha Dance King. But now, Shi Shangyang looked in a direction outside the battlefield, and the smile on his face seemed a little meaningful. Let's go, seniors. Having said that, Shi Shangyang performed the body flicker technique, walked through the battlefield, and quickly returned to the Konoha array. Chapter 45. The victory of the war, seeking flowers, scoring. The situation on the battlefield is changing rapidly, and no one knows what will happen in the next second, but the battle here has already come to an end. Because of the participation of Shi Shangyang, the subtle cooperation of other Konoha ninjas, and the grasp of various timings, even with the disadvantage of the number of people, the balance of victory is still tilted towards Konoha. Anyone with eyes can see it. When Shi Shangyang returned to the Konoha array, many people looked at him with surprise and curiosity, but they only glanced at him, and then plunged into the battle again. This is war, and any distraction can kill you. Shi Shangyang and the three Uchiha retreated all the way to the rear. There was no one here. The front was the battlefield where the screams were loud, but the back was very quiet. After arriving here, the three Uchihas obviously relaxed a lot, but they still did not forget their responsibilities. The three surrounded Shi Shangyang and looked around vigilantly, in case someone broke through the Konoha defense line and came here to attack Shi Shangyang. The current Shi Shangyang is too precious to Uchiha. An 11-year-old boy, in such a war, actually single-handedly killed the entire front. Such things are like a sky in the sky. But now it's actually happening. Even now, the three Uchihas still feel a little unreal, as if they were dreaming. Yangjun, after this war is over, you need to return to the family. Uchiha Keisuke said. Shi Shangyang didn't respond, just looked at the battlefield quietly, and then looked at another place with a sense of awareness, and said after a while, I'm not interested in returning to the family or anything, and I told you that I'm not what Uchiha. Advertisement. Uchiha Keisuke didn't mind Shi Shangyang's attitude. Although he didn't know why Shi Shangyang had such an attitude, his pair of Sharingans couldn't be fake. Sharingan has also been lost in the past, but that is just an example. Anyone who dares to capture Sharingan will be hunted down by Uchiha, because this is the foundation of Uchiha's establishment in the ninja world. Shi Shangyang's current age, as well as his development and use of Sharingan, all explain that his eyes belong to him, not from other Uchihas. A native Uchiha still has such a terrifying potential, and the Uchiha family will not let it go out anyway, which Uchiha Keisuke also sees very clearly. I won't interfere with Yangjun's plans, but we need your cooperation to investigate your identity. Uchiha Keisuke said again. Shi Shangyang just smiled and shrugged, thinking for a moment, then said, well, the patriarch of Uchiha should be somewhere on the battlefield, right? I can promise to meet him and clarify this matter. There is no need to return to the family or anything. The other two Uchihas were obviously angry when they heard this, but they still endured it, because Shi Shangyang's strength gave them a clear understanding of themselves, and their attitude towards Shi Shangyang should not be too bad. Uchiha Keisuke nodded when he heard the words, I understand. The patriarch is on another front. I will pass this news to him. If you come, the patriarch will definitely look forward to seeing you. Shi Shangyang nodded slightly, then found a random place to sit down, made a seal, and separated a shadow clone. Go for a walk on the battlefield, he said to the clone. The clone nodded, and there was no nonsense, and disappeared instantly. Advertisement. The three Uchihas were a little confused, not sure why he did this, and Shi Shangyang didn't intend to explain. The purpose of separating the clones is just to go around the battlefield and see if they can get some more wool out. No matter how small mosquito legs are, they are still meat. Let's take a look at Sarutobi Asuma and Hong Yuhi. After all, they are nominal opponents, and now he has to maintain his own personality. Time has passed, and the result of the battle here has become more and more obvious. The Konoha side accurately seized the opportunity and severely damaged the San Shinobi side, so that in the end, the San Shinobi side was unable to revolving heaven and had a tendency to collapse. Almost 2 hours have passed by now. The battle between the ninjas will not last long, but this level of battle cannot be over in a short time, but by now, the Konoha side has an absolute advantage. Even though their losses were equally huge, they were already satisfied with such a victory. Finally, San Shinobi's side could no longer bear the terrifying calculation, and the decision-making level on the battlefield issued an order to retreat. Now, San Shinobi's side has lost more than 70% of the battlefield, and the number of remaining ninjas is less than 200 of them. This is a huge loss for them. Victory. On the battlefield, the people on Konoha's side cheered. All of them were covered in bloodline, their faces were extremely tired, but their expressions were very excited. They were victorious, accomplishing an almost impossible feat, and the key to this battle was Shi Shangyang, who was sitting in the back, with a faint smile on his face. Chapter 46 The attention of the Uchiha family, seeking flowers, scoring. At the end of the battle, Konoha won, but it was also a tragic victory. There were less than 100 people left on Konoha's side at the end, which shows how tragic the battle was. The rest of the Konoha shinobi, each with a tired face, some with a kind of numbness on their faces, seemed to be used to all this, while others were full of sadness, obviously for the deceased comrades. And grief. Yuhi Mahong's team is not damaged. Captain Yuhi Mako has suffered some injuries. At this time, it has been bandaged. Sarutobi Asuma's arm is wrapped with gauze, and bloodline is faintly visible on it. Did not suffer any damage. After the battle, Yuhi Mahong found Shi Shangyang, saw Shi Shangyang's intact appearance, nodded slightly, patted Shi Shangyang on the shoulder and said, You are very good, I have nothing to teach you. Although the two have not known each other for a long time, Shi Shangyang has a good impression of Yuhi Junhong. He is a serious and responsible teacher who leads the team. If you have any questions, he will answer him. Shi Shangyang also learns from him. I got something, although I didn't learn much. Saying that, Yuhi Junhong thought of something, looked at Shi Shangyang's eyes carefully, and then said, I didn't expect you to be Uchiha's bloodline, although I don't know what happened, but I hope you remember, they are all from the same village, and for the rest, do what you want. The Yuhi family is not a big ninja clan, but strictly speaking, it is one of the ninja clan, but there are not many clan members. Coupled with Yuhi Mahong's current identity and past experience and cognition, he is very clear about the contradiction between Uchiha and the village. At the same time, from Shi Shangyang's attitude, it can be seen that he has no feelings for Uchiha, but it is clear how Uchiha, who is a noble family, will respond. Seeing such a genius, as long as Uchiha is not blind, he will definitely find a way to bring Shi Shangyang into the family, but looking at Shi Shangyang's current appearance, it is obvious that the matter between him and Uchiha will not be resolved so easily. As Shi Shangyang's leading teacher, Yuhi Mako naturally supports his students unconditionally, even if he is a Uchiha. For him as a teacher, it is no different from the other two students. Shi Shangyang just smiled a little when he heard the words, then nodded and said, I understand, don't worry, Teacher Junhong, I will handle this matter well. Yuhi Junhong was very satisfied, and smiled. You are more mature than I thought. Since that's the case, I don't have to worry about anything anymore. The conversation between the two was very brief. In fact, Yuhi Junhong didn't know what to say to Shi Shangyang. In his opinion, Shi Shangyang now doesn't actually need him to teach anything anymore. During the war just now, Shi Shangyang alone played a decisive role, something that even his teacher could not do. Advertisement. Although the two have known each other for a short period of time, Yuhi Junhong still has a feeling of being surpassed by his own students. He is a little relieved and a little overwhelmed. In short, he is very at a loss. Sarutobi Asuma and Hong Yuhi were so tired that they didn't want to speak, they just nodded to Shi Shangyang, and then found an open space and sat down directly. They needed to rest and regain their strength as soon as possible. Although the battle was won this time, no one knew if San Shinobi really gave up. If they had a hole in their brains and took advantage of this opportunity to launch an attack, in that case, the current Konoha would definitely not be able to resist. Of course, there is a high probability that such a thing will not happen. Now San Shinobi is in the Konoha war, and has already suffered huge losses, not only here. Before this, in the war between the two villages, San Shinobi has been in a weak position. And the current victory has destroyed the possibility of San Shinobi's counterattack in a short period of time. Therefore, the remaining ninjas on Konoha's side have all relaxed at this time, and this front has gained an advantage. The rest is to play steadily and continuously increase the pressure on San Shinobi, which is not difficult for Konoha. Many people cast their eyes at Shi Shangyang from time to time, some of them are amazed, some are indifferent, but it is not difficult to see from the white cards that dropped one or two from time to time. When these people saw Shi Shangyang, the mood is not particularly calm. Shi Shangyang doesn't care about this. Just now his clone disappeared, and he harvested more than 20 cards from the battlefield. Unfortunately, there are no high-level cards. Most of them are white cards. Harvest is better than nothing. The war here is a victory, but there are still many things to be dealt with in the future, but Shi Shangyang does not need to worry about these. He now needs to wait for the arrival of Uchiha Fugaku here with the three Uchihas, because Uchiha is in among the people here. Someone has already notified the same clan on the other line of defense through the summoning beast, and informed the news about Shi Shangyang here, and I believe that someone will come soon. Uchiha seems to take Shi Shangyang very seriously. Shi Shangyang takes this very lightly. His attention has been elsewhere now. Has not disappeared. Chapter 47 Uchiha has no future, seeking flowers, rating. Shi Shangyang has been paying attention to the person who was spying on him, but he didn't pay too much attention, because from the moment he knew about this kind of thing, Shi Shangyang knew the possibility of something happening in the future, and it didn't surprise him at all. Leaving this aside for the time being, Shi Shangyang was a little surprised when we talked about another thing, that is, Uchiha Fugaku was here. He didn't come alone, he brought 5 other Uchiha tribesmen along with 3 Uchihas who were with Shi Shangyang. Now there are 8 Uchihas around Shi Shangyang alone. This can be divided into 2 groups on the frontline battlefield. 3 Uchiha squads up. Because of Sharingan's special reason, Uchiha and Hyuga are both very popular ninjas on the front line. Both are very outstanding in terms of insight. The former has an unparalleled advantage in combat, and Sharingan is far superior to the White Eye in the capture of dynamic vision. In other villages in the ninja world, there is a single person who encounters Uchiha ninja, and if he loses, he can only accept the request to escape, which shows Uchiha's prestige in the ninja world. Hyuga's white eyes are strategic in terms of insight, especially on the battlefield, so like Uchiha, they are very popular on the battlefield. Now that Uchiha can put so many people in Shi Shangyang, and even the head of the clan has come, it is enough to show how much Uchiha cares about Shi Shangyang, not to mention that Uchiha Fugaku will come earlier than expected. The meeting place of Shi Shangyang and Uchiha Fugaku was in a forest behind the battlefield. Several Uchiha ninjas were on guard outside. Only Uchiha Fugaku and Uchiha Keisuke were accompanied by another ninja named Uchiha Matai. Yangjun's age really surprised me. You can do this at this age. There has never been one in the entire history of Uchiha. What a great talent. Uchiha Fugaku said. Shi Shangyang expressed his courtesy and went straight to the topic. Patriarch Fugaku, I already know the intention of the nobles this time, but I may disappoint you. I have no interest in returning to Uchiha. Uchiha Keisuke and Uchiha were a little anxious when they heard the words, but Uchiha Fugaku was very curious and asked, can you tell me why? You should also know that Uchiha can't let the family blood flow out. It is unbearable for any ninja, especially Uchiha from the ninja world. Ah, if you have to know, it's fine to tell you guys. Shi Shangyang said. Advertisement. Uchiha Fugaku has some doubts, but still wait for the next. Just listen to Shi Shangyang. Mainly, I don't think there is any future in returning to Uchiha. Uchiha Fugaku suspected that he had heard it wrong, and was a little puzzled. Do you want me to be more straightforward? Shi Shangyang tilted his head. Uchiha Fugaku frowned at this time. Can I understand that Yangjun doesn't have a good impression of Uchiha? Shi Shangyang waved his hand. It's not yet to that level, I just feel that there is no future for Uchiha in the future, and you can't even handle the relationship between yourself and the village. After a long time, there will definitely be more troubles with the village. If there is a big conflict, what should we do then? Uchiha Fugaku didn't wrinkle, the other 2 were even more open-mouthed words, but Uchiha Fugaku raised his hand to stop him. He looked at Shi Shangyang seriously, looked carefully, and seemed to want to see something from Shi Shangyang's face, but in the end nothing was seen. With a sigh, Uchiha Fugaku said, I didn't expect that the conflict between Uchiha and the village has become so serious that a teenager like you can clearly see it. It's ridiculous, right, but there are still many people in the family who even have this point. Can't feel it. Shi Shangyang thought for a while, then looked at Uchiha Keisuke and Uchiha Maida, and suddenly said, would you mind listening to what I think? Uchiha Fugaku was taken aback for a moment, then nodded, of course. Advertisement. Let's put it this way, it's not just that Uchiha has no future, but Konoha is actually the same. After saying this, the smile on Shi Shangyang's face did not change, but Uchiha Fugaku's expression suddenly changed as if he had thought of something. You, don't you? Shi Shangyang grinned. I don't know what you thought, but I can tell you that I will betray Konoha. If so, are you going to let me return to Uchiha? Not only Uchiha Fugaku, But also Uchiha Keisuke and Uchiha Matai also changed their faces were unbelievable. Very good, 3 purple cards fell out, and the color was quite dark. Yangjun, do you know what you are talking about? Uchiha Fugaku frowned and said solemnly. Shi Shangyang shrugged. Of course I know, since I said it, I'm not afraid of you going to tell others that I don't want to return to Uchiha, but in the eyes of others, I'm actually Uchiha, and I can still see this clearly. But the relationship between Uchiha and the village is hard to describe, and now that there is another me, the relationship is even more complicated. Saying that, Shi Shangyang seemed to remember something, and smiled mysteriously. Look, it won't be long before my order to transfer from the front line to San Shinobi will come. Chapter 48 The golden card dropped by Fugaku, for flowers, score. This point, Shi Shangyang is naturally very sure, he doesn't even have to guess, he also knows what decisions the senior officials of Konoha will make on this kind of thing. Third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen can't make such a decision, but the order will definitely be tacitly approved by him. This old man is the kind of person who is particularly indecisive. The original plot was indecisive and could not handle Uchiha's rebellion. It was necessary to forcefully suppress it, but I couldn't bear to make a decision, so I just waited and waited until the final situation became unmanageable. So in this kind of thing, the senior members of Konoha are absolutely reluctant to see Uchiha continue to become stronger and bigger, especially now that there is a genius like Shi Shangyang, that will definitely help Uchiha. It is huge, and when Shi Shangyang grows up, Uchiha will definitely become more confident in treating the village, which is the last thing they want to see. In their eyes, Konoha is their Konoha, Uchiha, Taking advantage of the surprise and confusion of several people, Shi Shangyang directly put away the 3 purple cards floating on the ground. Drop. Congratulations to host for getting the ability card Uchiha Fugaku's ninja talent. Close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations to host for getting the ability card Uchiha Mata's ninja talent. Close black lens bracket. Drop. Congratulations to host for obtaining the ability card Uchiha Keisuke's ninja talent. Close black lens bracket. 3 ninja talent cards. This is the first time. Shi Shangyang was a little surprised. So far, he has only gained 1 ninja talent from Hatake Kakashi among all his cards. I remember that it was a golden card at the time, and these 3 cards were all purple cards, which shows the talents of the 3. Hatake Kakashi is slightly inferior. There are 3 cards, of which the card belonging to Uchiha Fugaku is dark purple, and the other 2 are slightly lighter in color, but they can become Genin, and the ninja talent is not too bad, which is still very profitable for Shi Shangyang. Advertisement. It's just that he doesn't know what kind of changes the accumulation of talent will bring to himself, but he thinks it should have a good effect. Luckily, the 3 cards were not sour. Uchiha Fugaku's talent card received a 7-fold increase and became a golden card. In the other 2, one was a 4-fold increase, and the other was a 5-fold increase, turned into a golden card. No, just use it directly. Uchiha Fugaku looked at Shi Shangyang carefully, as if he wanted to see something on his face, but unfortunately, Shi Shangyang's expression didn't change, he was still smiling. As the patriarch of the wealthy ninja clan, Uchiha Fugaku is naturally not stupid. He can easily think of the deep meaning of Shi Shangyang's words, and even he can think of the reaction of the senior officials of Konoha. It is precisely because of this that he can't wait to come. Just because Uchiha can produce a genius is extremely important to Uchiha. Because Sharingan is different from other pupils, the difficulty of opening the eyes is very high, and the upper limit is also very high. It is precisely because of this that the proportion of Uchiha who can produce talents is not too high, but in the history of Uchiha, anyone who rises up a genius, the benefits to the entire family are incomparably huge. Such as Uchiha Yuri, who created the forbidden technique Izanami of the Uchiha family with his talent, and Uchiha Madara, who created Konoha with his strength, and Senju Hashirama, these are the people who can make Uchiha proud. Even so, in the entire history of Uchiha, there has never been an 11-year-old Sharingan who has reached the level of three-goose jade. Although Sharingan has a certain coincidence to open his eyes, he has no talent, no matter how much he is stimulated, also to no avail. At this point, Urzuzi in the original plot has something to say, and the clan only opened a tomo after death, spicy chicken. Pulling away, at the scene at this time, the 3 of Uchiha Fugaku looked shocked, and if they weren't shocked, they wouldn't be able to explode the purple card. Uchiha Fugaku took a deep breath and said, don't agree with the village. Shi Shangyang smiled and shook his head. If you agree, there is still a little bit, but it's not enough to support me giving everything for Konoha. My ninja is very special, do you want to know, Patriarch Fugaku? Advertisement. Uchiha Fugaku didn't speak, just stared at Shi Shangyang. I saw Shi Shangyang smiled and said, my ninja, but only doing what I think is right, isn't it too extreme? But from this point of view, my personality is quite similar to your Uchiha. Woolen cloth. Uchiha Fugaku frowned even more when he heard the words. He wanted to say something as the patriarch to persuade the genius boy in front of him, but in the end he found that he couldn't say anything, because Uchiha is like this, the boy in front of him, whether it is character or way of doing things, it fits Uchiha perfectly, and I don't know whether to be happy or helpless. Yeah, one more thing. Shi Shangyang didn't change his smile, took a step forward and approached Uchiha Fugaku's ear, and said softly, I want to ask the Fugaku Patriarch, what is the Sharingan above the three-go jade? I always feel that my eyes, the three-go jade should not be the limit. After the war, there seems to be a power growing faintly in my eyes, can you tell me? Uchiha Fugaku couldn't help widening his eyes, but Shi Shangyang didn't finish his words. Also, Patriarch Fugaku should have eyes like that, right? I sense the difference in your pupil strength from mine. Let me take a look. What kind of eyes are those? After speaking, Shi Shangyang took another step back and stared at Uchiha Fugaku's eyes with a smile. Then, he saw a golden card fall from Uchiha Fugaku's body, and his smile couldn't help but become even brighter. At this time, Uchiha Fugaku had only one thought in his mind. Has grown to such an extent. Chapter 49 Open Mangekyo Sharingan, for flowers, score. Shi Shangyang's voice was not loud, and it was still in Uchiha Fugaku's ear, so Uchiha Keisuke and Uchiha Matai didn't hear it very clearly, but they both saw the change in Uchiha Fugaku's expression, but it was very difficult at this time. Wise did not ask anything. Uchiha Fugaku stared at Shi Shangyang and opened his mouth to speak. At this time, Shi Shangyang received the golden card floating on the ground, looking forward to it, even a little nervous. Drop. Congratulations to host for obtaining the ability card Sharingan, Mangekyo status. Close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations to the ability card that host obtained. Sharingan, Mangekyo status, has been increased by 6 times, and has been upgraded to Sharingan, blank Mangekyo. Rejoice. Unparalleled joy. This is what Shi Shangyang wants the most at this stage. I didn't expect it to really explode on Uchiha Fugaku, and it's not worth his efforts to mobilize the other party's emotions. From the beginning of the meeting to now, every word Shi Shangyang said has a purpose, and its purpose is naturally to mobilize the emotions of Uchiha Fugaku, and only in this way can he have a chance to harvest Mangekyo Sharingan. But now, it really made him succeed, and it made him feel that the surprise came a little too suddenly. Yangjun, you are really surprising. Uchiha Fugaku said. Uchiha Fugaku pondered for a moment just now, and didn't know if he had figured out what to do. He tidied up the relationship between Uchiha Keisuke and Uchiha. Seeing this, the two of them changed their expressions slightly, but they nodded together and left in a flash. Shi Shangyang and Uchiha Fugaku were left on the spot. The latter said solemnly, according to the rules, you are not yet a member of the family, there are some things you can't know, but your talent is not taught by anyone. You can get to this level, even if I don't tell you when it comes, you should have a chance to understand, so I will tell you the biggest secret of the Uchiha family. Advertisement. Shi Shangyang showed an interested look and waited for the next paragraph. Then, Uchiha Fugaku stared into Shi Shangyang's eyes, revealing his Sharingan, in a state of 3 hooks. You guessed right, Sharingan is above the state of Sangoyu, and there is actually an ultimate existence, that is. Mangekyo Sharingan. The next moment, the Guyu in Uchiha Fugaku's eyes joined together and spun rapidly, as if ink was smeared in his eyes, forming a pattern of a long and narrow windmill. Small, it looks strange and special. Shi Shangyang felt a cold chakra from Uchiha Fugaku, and he understood that this is the unique pupil power of Mangekyo Sharingan, and it is also the aura of yin chakra in this state. This is Mangekyo, the ultimate pupil technique in the legend of the Uchiha family, master eyes with divine power. Shi Shangyang looked at Uchiha Fugaku's eyes carefully, and even with his current ability, he could feel a palpitating aura from above, which showed Mangekyo's suppression of the ordinary 3-tomo Sharingan. At this time, Shi Shangyang also showed his Sharingan, put away the disguised surprised look, and put on a smile again, but this time the smile became a little inexplicable. What a pair of beautiful eyes, it's hard to imagine that Sharingan really has the ability to evolve again. He sighed. Uchiha Fugaku said solemnly, this is Uchiha's top secret. With your talent, Yangjun, I believe it is not difficult to reach this step, but I have to tell you in advance that this is a pair of cursed eyes. Shi Shangyang's smile became brighter. Patriarch Fugaku, please rest assured, this should also be your secret. Therefore, I will not tell this secret to others. At the same time, in order to thank the Patriarch Fugaku for telling me his secret so easily, then I will also tell the Patriarch Fugaku. A secret. What? Uchiha Fugaku asked. Advertisement. After seeing the eyes of Patriarch Fugaku just now, it seems that because of being touched, I suddenly found that my eyes have a tendency to evolve. Uchiha Fugaku was startled, but the next moment, his eyes widened involuntarily. Because in his eyes, Shi Shangyang's eyes changed, the same 3-hook jade smudged open like ink, instantly connected into one piece, and then spun rapidly, gradually turning into a pattern with 6 sharp corners like a vortex. After using the Kanjin card just now, Shi Shangyang knew what blank Mangekyo meant. Just like its name, it is a pair of Mangekyo that has no other abilities except Mangekyo's pupil power. Like a whiteboard, these eyes will become a pair of real Mangekyo Sharingan only when they are fused with the user. The thoughts in the owner's mind generate a unique pupil technique. Strictly speaking, the whole process is the same as the normal process of awakening Sangoyu to Mangekyo, except that Shi Shangyang owns it directly, without the cruel process of opening his eyes. But this change fell into the eyes of Uchiha Fugaku, but it was as terrifying as the Arabian Nights. So, Shi Shangyang saw another golden card dropped from Uchiha Fugaku. Chapter 50 Shi Shangyang's Grand Spirit, Seeking Flowers, Scoring. Shi Shangyang did not hesitate to accept such a surprise. Drop. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the ability card Forbidden Technique Izanami Introduction. Close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations to host for obtaining the ability card Forbidden Technique Izanami Grandmaster, which has been tripled and upgraded to the ability card Forbidden Technique Izanami Grandmaster. Another surprise. For this forbidden technique, Shi Shangyang couldn't be more clear. It was a terrifying illusion that directly pointed at the heart. Like Izanagi, the price of using it was the light of one eye. The only thing that people can do is that this is Izanami instead of Izanagi. Compared with Izanami, what Shi Shangyang wants more is Izanagi. After all, the latter can change the reality, and that is Uchiha. The most terrifying technique in history. However, Shi Shangyang is still satisfied. After all, this is an unexpected joy, and I am fortunate to have it. Everything in front of him felt unreal. Even with Uchiha Fugaku's concentration, he couldn't help but take a step back. It was the change in Shi Shangyang's eyes that made him feel incredible. You must know his pair of Sharingans, but it was only opened because of the death of a close friend. The pain of losing a close friend, even now, every time I think about it, my heart is like a knife, so he said that these eyes are cursed. But he never imagined that Shi Shangyang's process of opening Sharingan would be so simple. It felt like there was no excess, and everything was naturally achieved. Are you surprised? Shi Shangyang asked suspiciously. Hearing what Shi Shangyang said, Uchiha Fugaku took a deep breath, which suppressed the shock in his heart, and then said solemnly, Yangjun, I underestimated your talent. If it were you, maybe. No. Yes. It will definitely make Uchiha the most powerful ninja in the entire ninja world. Isn't it the current Uchiha? Shi Shangyang asked in surprise. Advertisement. Uchiha Fugaku shook his head. No, Uchiha has never been the strongest. In the past, there was the Senju family, but now there is Konoha. Uchiha's so-called strongest is just self-deception. Shi Shangyang was a little surprised. I didn't expect to hear such words from you, Chief Fugaku. It really surprised me. Uchiha Fugaku shook his head slightly, a wry smile on his face. Go back to the family, Yangjun, Uchiha needs you. He said directly. At this moment, Uchiha Fugaku directly overthrew what he thought before. Shi Shangyang at this time is what he will win no matter what the cost. Shi Shangyang also shook his head. I'm sorry, but like I said just now, I won't return to Uchiha, and neither you nor Konoha will change my mind. Can you tell me why? Uchiha Fugaku asked. Shi Shangyang shrugged, his eyes returned to normal, looked in another direction, and said in a somewhat inexplicable tone. The world of ninja is huge, so big that it can accommodate 5 big countries and a dozen small countries at the same time. Uchiha Fugaku wondered. But the ninja world is also very small, so small that ordinary people cannot seek a place of peace. Uchiha Fugaku frowned. Shi Shangyang sighed. Whether it is the whole ninja world or Konoha, it seems to be like this all the time. The struggle and war never stop. I hate this kind of world because it's boring. Advertisement. Uchiha Fugaku suddenly had a bad premonition in his heart, and then he heard Shi Shangyang say again. So neither Uchiha nor Konoha gave me any sense of identity. What I want is very simple, that is, peace, but the current ninja world can't give me this, so I want to change all of this. This is his sincerity. From the beginning, he has no sense of identity in this world, so let alone Konoha, it is a torment to let a person who is used to peace in this place. Shi Shangyang admits that he is not noble, but to be honest, the current situation of the ninja world makes him very unaccustomed. If he is not capable, he will choose to join forces with others, but if he is capable, then he will naturally do something in line with it. Things of your own mind. Coming to the ninja world without changing something, then crossing over is a joke. These words are a bit inexplicable, but Uchiha Fugaku felt a kind of aura from Shi Shangyang, a kind of spirit that has surpassed a family. This kind of spirit he has only seen in one person, that is Konoha the first Hokage Senju Hashirama. Why? What does this have to do with you? Uchiha Fugaku couldn't help asking. He really couldn't imagine why a teenager of such a grade would think so deeply. Shi Shangyang chuckled. Why are there so many? It's just that this world makes me very uncomfortable, so you don't need to persuade me anymore. Instead, I have to tell you about Fugaku Patriarch in advance. What? Uchiha Fugaku asked subconsciously. Don't be my enemy. When he said this, the smile on Shi Shangyang's face didn't change, but Uchiha Fugaku saw a heart-pounding look in his eyes. Chapter 51. Transfer away from the front line for flowers, score. Uchiha Fugaku frowned. After all, he is also the patriarch of the Uchiha clan. Even if it is placed in the entire ninja world, he is still the top group, but now he is threatened by Shi Shangyang, so naturally he will not do anything good. Expression. Yes, in Uchiha Fugaku's eyes, Shi Shangyang is a threat, and he also admits that Shi Shangyang's threat is very powerful. Don't get me wrong, I'm not threatening you, Chief Fugaku. Shi Shangyang seemed to see through what Uchiha Fugaku was thinking, and then continued. I'm just stating a fact. The Uchiha family has no future, because your future is already doomed, and between the struggle and the village and family, their future will never be the same. You can't escape this vicious circle, unless you really have the ability to directly overthrow the current Konoha, but you don't have this ability, and the Uchihas are too proud, and this pride is the incentive for your future destruction. Uchiha Fugaku's face gradually turned gloomy. Shut up. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang shrugged and spread his hands, indicating that Uchiha Fugaku had no ill intentions, so he took 2 steps back, but he still had a smile on his face. Uchiha Fugaku gritted his teeth and stared at Shi Shangyang, as if trying to see something from Shi Shangyang's face, but in the end he found nothing. The war will end, but after the war, Uchiha will face the pressure of the village. What do you want to do? Shi Shangyang said again. Uchiha Fugaku was silent. Upon seeing this, Shi Shangyang still kept a smile, but did not speak again, as if waiting for the other party's response. After a long while, Uchiha Fugaku lowered his eyes and said solemnly, Yangjun, do you have a way to solve this? By this time, Uchiha Fugaku no longer regards Shi Shangyang as a teenager, but as an adult who can communicate with him. No. To be precise, a powerful ninja. Shi Shangyang said. It's very simple, you Uchiha need to stand on the side of Konoha when I betray Konoha. What? Uchiha Fugaku said subconsciously. Advertisement. You heard right, Shi Shangyang said. Why? Uchiha Fugaku asked again. Is it hard to think? After I betrayed Konoha, I was naturally the enemy of Konoha. As a member of Konoha, it is normal for Uchiha to be hostile to me. Do you want to be proud of being a traitor? Shi Shangyang instead asked suspiciously. Regarding this point, Uchiha Fugaku is really hard to say. He is very aware of his own clansmen, and that kind of pride that does not put others in the eyes of others is common in the Uchiha clan. So, since you don't have the guts to challenge Konoha, shouldn't it be the best choice to be obedient? Shi Shangyang said again. Uchiha Fugaku clenched his fist slightly. At this time, Shi Shangyang suddenly said in a faint tone, you also know that the contradiction between Uchiha and Konoha is irreconcilable, unless someone can suppress any opposing voices with strength, otherwise, you should be able to end Uchiha's end. You can see it right. Yangjun. Uchiha Fugaku was about to say something, but was interrupted by Shi Shangyang's exit. Don't count on me, I already said, I won't be returning to Uchiha, but what? Shi Shangyang's smile suddenly narrowed and became serious. Uchiha can be my strength. Saw. Advertisement. Uchiha Fugaku backed away instantly, his face full of alert, and said solemnly, what do you mean? Shi Shangyang waved his hand, then turned around and walked forward, and said at the same time, literally, go back and think about it, your character is too hesitant, and you are even more hesitant when you encounter problems. If I were you, you will do it when we first meet, instead of listening to my nonsense for half a day like you are now. You can't lead Uchiha out of the predicament, and you will even handle the relationship with your own son in the future so why not give yourself and Uchiha an option? After saying this, Shi Shangyang's figure disappeared directly, leaving Uchiha Fugaku, and no one noticed that he had left. Uchiha Fugaku frowned, his fists clenched and loosened, feeling a little uneasy. This meeting with Shi Shangyang, there are so many things beyond his imagination. He thought it was just a Uchiha bloodline boy with a strong talent, but after seeing it, he realized that this boy's ideas were more mature than him. At this moment, he didn't know Shi Shangyang's existence, whether it was lucky or unfortunate for Uchiha. On the other hand, Shi Shangyang didn't care about this, and went straight back to the stronghold to find Yuhi Junhong. Sure enough, as he expected, the order about him came from Konoha. Strange, why did the village give you such an order? Yuhi Junhong was puzzled, even he couldn't tell what the village executives thought. Shi Shangyang just smiled. Who knows, it should be the village who saw my potential. It's a good thing, and I'm looking forward to being on my own. It's best if you can think of it this way, but you have to protect yourself when you go to the front line of the country of grass. Cloud Shinobi's guys are hard to deal with. Yuhi Junhong patted Shi Shangyang on the shoulder and said. Shi Shangyang smiled and nodded. Don't worry, Teacher Junhong, I will make my name resound throughout the ninja world. Chapter 52 The Trap prepared in advance, seeking flowers, scoring. The reaction in the village did not escape Shi Shangyang's expectations, and this time the order was also the same. There are stirrers like Shimura Danzo among the high-level Konoha, and Konoha's peace is impossible to talk about. It's not that Shi Shangyang has an opinion on Shimura Danzo, but the force field of both sides has limited that it is impossible for Shi Shangyang and Konoha to be stable. If Shi Shangyang wants to achieve his goal, Konoha becomes an obstacle for him, and if Konoha wants peace and stability, then Shi Shangyang, who has Sharingan, will inevitably be involved. Even if this kind of thing is not unsolvable, Shi Shangyang is also not interested in reconciling the conflict between Uchiha and Konoha, so no matter how you look at it, choosing to betray Konoha is the best choice. Shi Shangyang said goodbye to a few people he knew. He didn't know many people here, namely Mahong Yuhi, Sarutobi Asuma, and Hong Yuhi, plus Narajun and a few other ninjas, so he didn't waste much time. The order is the task. Shi Shangyang needs to cross the entire border of the country of fire, from the south to the north, and enter the country of grass. The whole journey is not very close. Even with the footsteps of ninjas, it will take 10 days to say the least. Look. Shi Shangyang went on the road, and the journey was very peaceful. First, he entered the country of fire. From the country of fire to the north to the country of grass, he had to pass through a junction of the country of rain, the country of fire and the country of grass. It is also a war here. The front line, but Rock Shinobi is here and now, but Konoha is more vigilant. The country of grass is the real front, and like the country of river, it has now become the main battleground for Rock Shinobi and Konoha. Both sides have a tacit understanding and did not move forward, but controlled the battle within a certain range to avoid causing a larger conflict. Both Rock Shinobi and Konoha see this very clearly. War is just a means. They want to the desired results are often not achieved by war at all. In Shi Shangyang's words, it is a dirty hemorrhoid. After about 8 or 9 days of effort, Shi Shangyang finally entered the country of grass. He was very peaceful along the way and did not encounter anything. It was just that the feeling that someone was spying on in the dark was always there, which made Shi Shangyang a little speechless. I don't know how long Uchiha Dance King will observe himself. It's really worthy of being the mastermind behind the scenes. It's amazing that he has endured to such a degree. What he didn't expect was that there were no problems in 9/10 of the entire journey, but he encountered problems after entering the country of grass. Advertisement. The country of grass is a plain Guojia, where there are fewer mountains, but more forests, and the trees here are very tall, which is essentially different from the trees of Konoha. Let's put it this way, the trees in the Konoha forest are basically at the level of Idzuki bean sprouts, which shows how tall the trees here are. Shi Shangyang's order is to enter the country of grass and enter a base here. This is not difficult to do, but to Shi Shangyang's surprise, he found the base, but the base is gone. Figures, leaving only a few materials. Strangeness. Shi Shangyang checked the base for a while, then frowned. Immediately afterwards, he seemed to suddenly think of something, and he was not disturbed, but chuckled lightly. If it's what I think it is, doesn't that just give me an excuse? Shi Shangyang inspired Sharingan, and the three-hook jade showed a strange color in the eye socket, and then carefully sensed it, and after a while, there was a harvest. Did someone deliberately do this to make people give up this stronghold early? If that's the case, it can only mean that there are some people in Konoha who don't want me to live here. It's interesting. Shi Shangyang came to a tent planted in the stronghold. There was a string of codes left on the ground. It was interpreted that there was very important information buried in the ground and needed to be sent back to Konoha as soon as possible. If you were a normal Konoha shinobi, you would naturally do it without hesitation, but Shi Shangyang is not so stupid. He separates a clone, and the main body leaves in an instant, watching from afar outside the base. Advertisement. Sure enough, a moment later, there was a violent roar from the base. Boom. Immediately after that, there were fires rising into the sky, and explosions appearing everywhere in the base. It was definitely not a movement that could be made by a few explosion symbols. To this extent, it was obvious that someone had moved in this base beforehand. Hands and feet, leaving a lot of life-threatening traps. Almost in a blink of an eye, the entire base was plunged into a sea of fire. With this kind of power, even if Shi Shangyang was in it, he would be injured if he was not careful. It's really what I guessed, but I don't know if there is any follow-up. Shi Shangyang knew very well that since someone in the high-level Konoha wanted to die by himself, this matter would definitely not go away so easily. As he expected, after a while, a group of people appeared in the other direction, watching this scene from a distance, and then the group dispersed without any communication, and began to check the scene. These people have a characteristic, they all wear animal masks, they are very decisive in their actions, and everyone's temperament is cold and not like a human being. Seeing this scene, Shi Shangyang couldn't guess who gave the order. He can only say that some people are just as Shi Shangyang imagined, and they always use some gloomy methods, which is quite ridiculous. Chapter 53 Missing a Witness, for Flowers, Score. I saw these people enter the scene of the explosion and quickly searched for it. At a glance, they knew that this would be the result early on, so the things they checked were self-evident. After a while, these people came out of the scene and gathered together again. No trace of the target was found at the scene. Me too. Me too. Several people confirmed each other's intelligence, and then one of them said solemnly, the mission failed, the other party may have noticed it, go back alone to report, and the others will continue the mission with me. Yes, Captain. Several people responded, and soon one person left, without any nonsense, extremely decisive. After the man left, the man who had just opened his mouth said again, now, we need to go to the frontline base first, hide there, look for the target's trace, and if necessary, we can carry out the killing mission according to the situation. Yes, N. Several people also set off and quickly moved in one direction. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang sneered, glanced at the direction the person left before, and then followed the rest of the group. Just now, he has separated a clone and went to chase the guy who left first. I believe there will be information coming from there soon. There was no talk along the way. These people are more professional than Shi Shangyang imagined. They are professionals who are dedicated to doing dirty and tiring work. There is no nonsense along the way. The signals and traps almost brought the expertise that ninjas use to assassinate to ultimate. About an hour later, the group of people in front suddenly stopped, and the leader said, the new base should be not far away, rest for 5 minutes. Advertisement. Yes. A few people stopped to rest, and someone was on guard. Shi Shangyang thought for a while, then raised his brows, and there was a memory in his mind, which was passed down by Shadow Clone. The memory includes the avatar and the battle process of leaving the person before, as well as some things found from him. There is not much valuable information. There is nothing special about that person, but there is a special Jonin. The strength of the man just saw a familiar curse mark on his tongue. Sure enough, it was Shimura Danzo's handwriting. It seems that I guessed correctly. In the whole Konoha, only this guy is the most insidious. It is not surprising that he can do such a thing. Hee, it is interesting. No need to be sorry. Shi Shangyang immediately became concerned, and then looked in one direction, where he could vaguely feel the vague chakra fluctuations, indicating that there were people gathering there. It just so happens that there are no shortage of witnesses now. Shi Shangyang closed his eyes slightly, and when he opened them again, his eyes were already Mangekyo, and the enchanting lines gave a heart-pounding feeling no matter how he looked at them. Saw. His figure disappeared from the spot. Who? Those people immediately became alert, took out their weapons one by one, and looked in the direction where Shi Shangyang had just disappeared. Puff! A sharp blade pierced the neck of one of them, and Shi Shangyang came out from behind the unlucky ghost, still with a warm smile on his face. A few people were startled, and they turned around quickly to see their companions fall, and Shi Shangyang was standing among them holding a ninja sword. Anbu from Konoha, I'm very confused, what is your mission this time? After several people saw that it was Shi Shangyang, even though he was indifferent like a piece of ice, he still couldn't help but have some emotional fluctuations, and a few white cards burst out. Advertisement. It's just a white card, and there is no blue card, which is enough to show that these people are indifferent in character, more like a tool than a person. Without any nonsense, the few people chose to do it the first time they saw Shi Shangyang. When, Shi Shangyang waved his ninja sword and easily blocked the shuriken and kunai thrown by a few people. Then he flicked his body and avoided the surprise attack of one lightning-style electric light, and then fell to the side. It's really sad to attack me as soon as we meet. I'm obviously someone who has done a lot to Konoha, why are you Anbus coming to kill me? Shi Shangyang said. He knew that it was impossible for these people to answer his own questions, and Shi Shangyang had already had the answer in his heart, and he was doing this now, just wanting to be a witness. During the battle, Shi Shangyang still had time to look in a direction far away, where the chakra fluctuations became obvious, and there were a few chakra exams moving towards this side, obviously someone noticed the movement here. In the field at this time, Shi Shangyang suddenly stopped and walked out of the field calmly, but the ninjas of Konoha Anbu seemed to be unaware and were still fighting according to the previous rhythm. But the strange thing is that there is no opponent in front of them, because Shi Shangyang has left the battlefield, and Shi Shiran stands alone. Things are getting more interesting. Talking to himself in this way, Shi Shangyang separated a clone, and then the body disappeared instantly, leaving only the clone in the field. When the person from there came closer, the clone entered the field and began to interact with those Konoha Anbu fight. Chapter 54 Changes in Mangekyo's vision, for flowers, score. Over there. Everyone be careful. Several people rushed out of the woods, all dressed in the standard clothes of Konoha Shinobi, and the head was a ninja from the Hyuga family. See who it is? Someone asked. Hyuga ninja frowned and said solemnly, it's from the village. Huh. Several people were a little puzzled. Hyuga ninja said, it looks like it should be Anbu from the village. Could it be that he is on a mission here? One of them said. No matter that, go up and have a look first to find out what happened. The few people didn't hesitate, they quickly approached, and then they saw the situation at the scene clearly, but it was a few ninjas dressed as Konoha Anbu who were besieging a young man. Needless to say, the young man is naturally Shi Shangyang's avatar. When he saw a few people coming, his face immediately showed joy, and then he said anxiously, seniors, come and help, I don't know what these guys are crazy, when they see me attack directly. Not to mention, Shi Shangyang's acting skills are very online, fully deducing the anxiety of young people after encountering things. Who are you? Asked one of Konoha's ninjas. I'm Shi Shangyang. Shi Shangyang's clone said directly. Shi Shangyang. Several people were stunned, and then someone responded. It's a new genius on the San Shinobi front. Someone said. Is it him? Let's separate them first and see if there is any misunderstanding. Advertisement. A few people immediately made a decision when they saw it. No matter what happened in the middle, since both sides were from Konoha, attacking each other would definitely not work. Then these people directly joined the battle, and the leader said loudly, damn, you all stop, and if you continue to attack, I have the right to take you directly. However, these Konoha Anbu seem to be very indifferent, no matter how persuasion the people come, the attack in his hand still does not stop. Shi Shangyang said, you see, these guys are crazy, I have already explained it, I came from the front line of San Shinobi according to the order, and I was attacked after meeting them. There must be something wrong with these guys. At this moment, someone on Konoha's side was injured, his arm was cut by an Anbu, and he groaned suddenly. Seeing this, the face of the ninja who led the team on Konoha's side changed, his face quickly darkened, and he shouted, take them. Yes, A few people didn't hold back when they heard the words. Just for the sake of being the same village, they just resisted and didn't attack, but they saw that Anbu's guy actually hurt his comrades, and now there is a captain. The order, then naturally there is nothing to say, and it becomes fierce all of a sudden. Even so, These Anbu ninjas still didn't mean to stop, but because of these people's participation, they increased their power to shoot, and for a while, they really felt that the two sides were mortal enemies. Seeing this scene, the leader of the team suddenly turned gloomy. There's something wrong with these people, he said. Captain, what should we do now? We can't go on like this. Anbu's guys are too ruthless, and we can easily suffer. The leader of the team said solemnly, you don't need to keep your hands. Yes, understood, Captain. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang's clone said, then, it should be fine for me to kill them, right? The captain glanced at Shi Shangyang and said in a flat voice, if you can do it, then there's no problem. Hearing this, Shi Shangyang's clone smiled. The next moment, the clone is sealed. Advertisement. Wind-style commentary. As soon as he opened his mouth, the gust of wind swept through. The gust of wind was also mixed with invisible air blades like sharp blades, as if there was a guide, bypassing the Konoha shinobi and shooting straight at Anbu's people. Past. Puff puff puff. Several people couldn't react in time, and there were split-like wounds on their bodies, and blood flowed out in a blink of an eye. The captain and the others were startled and looked at Shi Shangyang subconsciously. They didn't expect the kid in front of him to be able to perform such a level of ninjutsu. Wind-style commentary was obtained by Shi Shangyang from those San Shinobi ninjas. It is a wind-style ninjutsu with a grade of B. It is the same level as fire-style Kamatsuya and fire-style high fire. This is still Shi Shangyang's arm around the point to display. If it is fully displayed, everyone in the field except Shi Shangyang will no longer be able to stand. Under such an attack, the Anbu ninjas seemed to wake up, but they couldn't see their expressions clearly because of their masks, but their next actions were very abrupt. They cut their necks with their sharp knives without saying anything. Seeing this, the expressions of the captains changed drastically. Shi Shangyang looked like he was being frightened, and said in amazement, these guys, why are they? Anbu ninja fell to the ground one by one, giving people enough shock, and the decisive suicide was completely unexpected. There were cards on the captain's body, all of which were blue cards, which showed the mental state of these people at this time. One person squatted down to check, and then his face changed again, and he subconsciously said, it's the root. This time, the faces of the captain and the others changed completely, and the captain looked at Shi Shangyang subconsciously. What's wrong? What is the root? Shi Shangyang asked in confusion. At this time, in another place far away from this place, Shi Shangyang's body covered his eyes with his hands and frowned slightly. Sure enough, using Mangekyo's pupil power will affect his eyesight. It seems that we have to find a chance to solve Mangekyo's problem. Chapter 55 The Mangekyo ability belonging to Shi Shangyang, seeking flowers, scoring. Shi Shangyang naturally knows how to solve the problem of Mangekyo. At this stage of Mangekyo, every time he uses his pupil power, his vision will decrease. The degree of decrease depends on the consumption. The solution to this thing is very simple. Implant the cells of Senju Hashirama, use the Yang escape cells of the immortal body, and combine with the Yin escape chakra of Sharingan, and the two merge to form the power of Sen Luo Wandao, then the problem of Mangekyo will be solved naturally. Another method is to transplant the close relative Mangekyo, the fusion of the two ultimate Yin chakras, to become a higher level of eternal Mangekyo, so you don't have to worry about vision damage. But these two methods are not suitable for Shi Shangyang now. The former still has a certain success rate. Hashirama cells can still be found in Konoha, but in that case, the potential of Mangekyo will be exhausted, and there will be no evolution. Possibly, this is clearly not what Shi Shangyang wants. As for the second, he is an orphan of Konoha, and has a fart relative, and even if it is a relative, there is no Sharingan, let alone Mangekyo, so the second method is not realistic at all. In fact, Shi Shangyang won't choose either of these two methods, he wants the third one. Don't forget, Shi Shangyang has a system, and if the system can pop a blank Mangekyo card on Uchiha Fugaku, it will definitely pop another blank Mangekyo card on the second Uchiha. Shi Shangyang's Sharingan came from a blank Mangekyo card. Strictly speaking, it was no different from opening his own eyes, but without the process, the result was the same. Then this means that the same is true of blank Mangekyo cards that burst out from other people, and then using a blank Mangekyo card is equivalent to transplanting a loved one's Mangekyo. The key is still blank, of which only Mangekyo that represents the ultimate chakra. This is easy to understand. Shi Shangyang is sure that his guess is correct, and there will be nothing wrong with the system. Therefore, compared to the previous two methods, it is not safe to use the system to solve this problem, which is the optimal solution for Shi Shangyang. Pull away. At this time, Shi Shangyang had already felt the weakening of his eyesight, but he didn't see it in his eyes. It felt like the drowsy feeling when he woke up in the morning and didn't wake up from sleep. Based on this, Shi Shangyang felt that at least he had the right to motivate Wan. It takes 20 or 30 times for the eyesight to be significantly weakened. Speaking of which, I have to mention Shi Shangyang's Mangekyo. Advertisement. His Mangekyo has two abilities. As I said before, this thing is essentially equivalent to his self-awakening, so Sharingan's ability naturally appeared because of his thoughts. The ability of its left eye is called Chenju, which is somewhat similar to Uchiha Obito's Kamui space ability, but it has greater potential than that, because this space of Chenju can exist alone and can also be revealed to the outside world, and in this space, time is controlled by Shi Shangyang. Of course, this time control is limited. Shi Shangyang can only control 5 seconds, but don't underestimate these 5 seconds, because these 5 seconds can be retroactive, that is to say, in the Chenju space, as long as if Shi Shangyang is willing, he can trace everything that happened in the space back to 5 seconds ago, which is quite a terrifying ability. The right eye ability is called Namsho, which belongs to the illusion eye. It is an ability that appeared when Shi Shangyang thought about distinguished heavenly gods and Tsukuyomi when he opened his eyes. He wanted distinguished heavenly gods and Tsukuyomi to come, but unfortunately the ability did not appear. Controlled, only affected by ideas, and the formation of abilities has a lot of randomness. The role of nightmare suffering is very simple to say, in fact it is to create illusion, but this illusion can control a person's 5 senses. It sounds a bit like the ability of Aizen Sosuke Zanpakuto in the Shinigami studio next door, but it is a very useful ability. It can be considered that Shi Shangyang is lucky. The Anbu ninja on the clone side just now was controlled by his ability to control his 5 senses, which is why he behaved so strangely from the beginning to the end, and the final suicide was also controlled by Shi Shangyang. His method was very simple. Anbu constructed a fake order in his mind, and then several people executed it without hesitation. The appearance of these two abilities is very random, but they were all influenced by Shi Shangyang's thoughts when he opened his eyes. Just like Chenju with the left eye, what Shi Shangyang thought was Uchiha Obito's Kamui space at that time, but unfortunately, this thing can't be satisfied. Fortunately, both abilities are not bad, and Shi Shangyang is also very satisfied. It's almost there. The clone should be able to last for a while. It's time to look elsewhere. You should be able to find the target, right? There are guys in the dark. I hope you don't come into contact with yourself during this time period, otherwise the clone might be exposed. Gotta hurry up. Saying that, Shi Shangyang took down the Konoha forehead protector, took out a few item cards from the card pack, and came up with a set of clothes and a cloak. By the way, he also changed his own ninja sword, plus a fine puppet 8 juvenile fish. After changing his body, Shi Shangyang became a wandering ninja with a hidden face. He glanced in the direction, chuckled softly, and then disappeared. Chapter 56 Looking for Namikaze Minato, for flowers, score. At the same time, where Shi Shangyang's clone is. The captain and others were all serious at this time. After confirming the identity of Shi Shangyang, they all fell silent at this time. When they found out that these Anbu were the root people, they felt a big head for no other reason. The members of this team are basically ninjas. Although they don't know much about the root in Anbu, they have heard of it, knowing that this is a special department headed by advisor Shimura Danzo. Those who know Shimura Danzo know what kind of person he is, especially the ninjas, who have the most peculiar impression of Shimura Danzo. Now the question is, why did the root people come to Shi Shangyang? And why did they commit suicide directly after they arrived? The question here is a little confusing. Shi Shangyang's clone showed a very dazed look, basically just asking 3 questions, and maintaining the character perfectly. In the end, there was no way. The captain and others had to take Shi Shangyang's clone back to the base first, and the rest of the matter could only be handled by the people in the base. This base is a newly built base, and it is also the main base for the front line of the Rock Shinobi operation. There are also several smaller bases scattered around. In short, this arrangement is well thought out by Konoha, and the things in it are naturally unnecessary. Say more. Shi Shangyang's clone was brought here, and soon there was a special person to confirm his identity. Although it was a clone, the shadow clone could not be seen through the eyes, so Shi Shangyang naturally didn't worry about being discovered. The process went very smoothly. Shi Shangyang soon met the person in charge of the base, a fat man named Akamaiki Fukuoka, who looked like he was in his 50s. Of pressure. However, this fat man has a good personality, smiling, and there is nothing deliberate about Shi Shangyang's inquiries. I have already received the information from the village. There is information about you, and I am indeed shocked. Advertisement. Shi Shangyang's clone did not speak, and waited for the following. Well, it's like this. The village's plan is to let you stay here for a while. I guess it wants to deal with Uchiha first. You also know that you have Uchiha's bloodline, it's Sharingan, so the village is nothing. It's a great way. After all, you don't want to return to Uchiha, so what the village can do is try to help you and the Uchiha clan turn around. You should be able to understand this, right? Akamaiki asked. Shi Shangyang nodded. I've caused everyone trouble. Akamaiki is very simple and honest, waved his hand and said, it's not necessary to say such words. It is very lucky for us to have such a talented junior like you in the village, so no matter what, you still have to think about it. Respect it. As he spoke, his expression was slightly solemn, and with his special dark circles under his eyes, it gave people a very serious feeling. Then, about the root, I hope you can bear with it for the time being. Shi Shangyang thought about it when he heard the words, and then said, although I don't know why the ninja of the root attacked me, I will follow the senior's request and forget about it. Haha, that's the best way to go. Akamaiki came over, patted Shi Shangyang on the shoulder, and then said, I don't know what's going on here, but don't worry, the village will definitely give you an explanation. Yes, Shi Shangyang responded. The Q&A is basically like this. Shi Shangyang maintains his own personality and stays in this base like this, which is very low-key. Advertisement. The base has not given him any tasks. Shi Shangyang is not clear about the specific situation, but it is not difficult to guess. It must be an order from the village. I don't want Shi Shangyang to have any more accidents. As for how 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen will deal with this matter in the village, Shi Shangyang has no interest. He knows very well that this thing is very likely to end up with muddy mud. For 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, it is estimated that the best solution is to deal with it. That's the way it is. In this way, the clone does not have to go through battle, so it can last for a while. At this time, Shi Shangyang's body was busy looking for his goal. His target is none other than the Namikaze Minato team performing the mission here. In fact, the target is Namikaze Minato himself. What he did is naturally the Flying Thunder God technique on Namikaze Minato. The power of this thing belongs to whoever uses it. You know, Shi Shangyang doesn't want to miss anything. In the forest, Shi Shangyang hid his body, shuttled between the shadows of the tree canopy, without any wind, he came and went lightly. He is now dressed as a wandering ninja, with a hooded robe over his body, and the clothes are very large, making it difficult to see what is hidden inside. In addition, Shi Shangyang also wears a mask on his face, which can be said to hide everything that can be hidden. He has been wandering in the forest for 2 days. During this time, he has encountered Konoha's ninja team and Rock Shinobi's ninja team. The location of Namikaze Minato's squad was analyzed. Chapter 57 Goal Flying Thunder God, for flowers, score. Aren't you here either? Shi Shangyang stood on a tree branch and looked down from a high place. In the woodland below, 2 teams of ninjas are fighting desperately, one is Konoha Shinobi, the other is Rock Shinobi. This situation often occurs in this forest, Shi Shangyang has encountered many times in the past 2 days, but he had no intention of helping, even if Konoha Shinobi died in front of his eyes, it didn't make his mood fluctuate. Death is the fate of a ninja. This kind of thing should be prepared on the first day of becoming a ninja. Shi Shangyang will not help Konoha Shinobi because he is weak, just like now. Below, the battle between the 2 squads is coming to an end. 2 of the 4 Konoha Shinobi fighters have lost their combat effectiveness and fell to the ground. The other 2 are struggling, but no one is injured. The 4 Rock Shinobi ninjas are obviously fighting with a cat and mouse mentality. The crux of Shinobi. Shi Shangyang just watched silently, shook his head slightly, and then prepared to leave directly. This level of fighting didn't bother him. But at this moment, there was a sudden sound of breaking through the air. Call out. Shi Shangyang moved his ears, and instantly recognized that it was Kunai's voice. Following the sound, he saw a black shadow attacking one of the Rock Shinobi team. The man also sensed the attack, and subconsciously knocked away the attacking kunai with his chunin knife. Such an attack did not work for him at all. But the next moment, the man's eyes widened, just because there was a deep visible scar on his throat, and blood spurted out instantly, like a fountain. No matter how he covered it with his hands, there was nothing left. Effect. PFF'd. The man fell, twitched a few times and then stopped moving, apparently dead. Advertisement. The expressions of the remaining 3 Rock Shinobi ninjas changed drastically, they subconsciously dispersed, and then they looked around vigilantly. Shi Shangyang narrowed his eyes slightly. At that moment, he saw a yellow figure in a flash. Fortunately, Sharingan is the best in the ninja world in terms of motion capture, but he can clearly see the appearance and clothes of future people. It wasn't a yellow figure, it was just a broken yellow hair of someone coming, and it was only because the other party's speed was too fast, so fast that it was difficult for ordinary people's eyes to catch it. The person who came was Namikaze Minato, and the speed of appearing and disappearing just now was the Flying Thunder God technique. Finally found. Shi Shangyang smiled and slightly concealed his body. Afterwards, he saw Namikaze Minato, known as the Golden Flash, the whole process of beheading the enemy. Even he couldn't help but marvel at that speed. It is indeed the fastest in the ninja world, which is irrefutable. Putting it on Shi Shangyang before Mangekyo, it is estimated that facing Namikaze Minato of this period, it is difficult to gain the upper hand in front of him. Even if he has many abilities, the shortcoming in speed cannot be ignored at all. This is why he chose to surf the front line of the San Shinobi battlefield for a while, and then chose to look for Namikaze Minato. Without the certainty of victory, Shi Shangyang would not appear recklessly in front of Namikaze Minato. Shi Shangyang has always been discreet. Below, the 3 Rock Shinobi ninjas basically don't solve it without struggling. Of course, it can't be said that there is no struggle, but the conventional ninja methods are basically useless after encountering Namikaze Minato. Minato dodged easily, and then completed the counter kill in a very short time with absolute speed. The 2 surviving Konoha Shinobi slumped to the ground with a sigh of relief when they saw that it was Namikaze Minato. Namikaze Minato first checked the other 2 Konoha Shinobi who were lying in a pool of blood, then shook his head slightly, and then came to the 2 with a frown. Bring their corpses, you go back to the camp first, I will sweep around here. He said. The 2 nodded at the same time and said in unison, yes, Lord Minato. Advertisement. The current Namikaze Minato already has the title of Golden Glitter. On the front line here, he is also dubbed the title of Adults, and he is also loved and respected. These are all he has exchanged for his exaggerated record. Shi Shangyang didn't move, but waited quietly. After a while, the 2 finished cleaning the battlefield, and the latter one carried the body of a companion, nodded to Namikaze Minato, and left quickly. Namikaze Minato watched the backs of the two leave, and took out a special kunai from his backpack, and then he didn't move, and he didn't know what he was thinking. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang narrowed his eyes slightly and flicked his fingers. The next moment, the ground beneath Namikaze Minato's feet suddenly shot out several black shadows, piercing Namikaze Minato's body like long needles. The figure of Namikaze Minato suddenly disappeared, and at the moment of his disappearance, he made a flick of his hand, and the special kunai that he was holding attacked at a very fast speed towards Shi Shangyang's hiding place. The attacks of those shadows failed, and Namikaze Minato's figure had long since disappeared. On the treetops, the corners of Shi Shangyang's mouth curled up. Interesting. The next moment, his figure also disappeared. Chapter 58 I Caught You, Seeking Flowers, Scoring. At the moment when Shi Shangyang disappeared, Namikaze Minato's figure appeared in the place where the former had just disappeared, and the two changed their positions almost instantaneously, which was dizzyingly fast. Shi Shangyang has such exaggerated speed purely by virtue of his powerful chakra and unparalleled explosive power. But Namikaze Minato is a simple point-to-point movement. Really speaking, Namikaze Minato is indeed better than Shi Shangyang in terms of speed. Wind-style slash on the sand. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept in from below, wrapped in a large swath of wild sand, and rolled towards Namikaze Minato like a sandstorm. On the trunk, traces of corrosion by sand and dust soon appeared. Namikaze Minato disappeared, just like before, looking extremely abrupt. At this time, the dense forest has been shrouded in sand and dust, the visibility has been reduced, the surrounding is like chaos, and the vision has become very bad. Shi Shangyang was hiding in another part of the jungle, his face was hidden under a mask, and he couldn't see his expression clearly, so he was watching carefully. What I have to say is that Namikaze Minato is indeed very difficult to deal with. He has noticed this from the very beginning of the fight, and he even doubts whether Namikaze Minato has discovered him long ago, but he just kept it secret. But even if it is discovered, Shi Shangyang will not be surprised. Namikaze Minato is a genius in the true sense, both in terms of combat intuition and talent, is unparalleled, even if he is compared with first Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen in comparison, it is not very fast. Shi Shangyang felt that Namikaze Minato would also be one of the standouts if he were to put Namikaze Minato in the age of Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara. Call out. A blast of wind came, and Shi Shangyang disappeared suddenly, left the spot in an instant, and shot out towards another place. But the next moment, his pupils shrank. Because in front of him, a figure suddenly appeared. It was Namikaze Minato who had just disappeared. It seemed that he had already noticed that he would dodge in this direction. The speed of Namikaze Minato was unexpected, even Shi Shangyang was a little surprised at this time. Advertisement. Laugh. A cold light slashed towards Shi Shangyang's neck. Although the speed was not as fast as Namikaze Minato Flying Thunder God, it was far faster than the average ninja. But such a knife was blocked by Shi Shangyang raising his hand. The ninja knife in his hand collided with the specially made kunai in Namikaze Minato's hand, and sparks suddenly splashed around. Caught you. Namikaze Minato looked up and smiled genially. The next moment, Namikaze Minato disappeared. Shi Shangyang fell to the ground, bowed his head in surprise, and saw a special line of incantations appear on his abdomen, and he immediately understood that he was marked by the Flying Thunder God. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang ran towards the distance without any hesitation. He was very fast, running 100 meters almost in the blink of an eye, but someone was faster than him. It is Namikaze Minato. The latter only flickered, and once again appeared beside Shi Shangyang, this time with him, and the huge chakra in his palm. Rasengan. Shi Shangyang was surprised, Namikaze Minato had already developed Rasengan at this time. Are you off? Before he could think about it, he was about to retreat directly to avoid it, but at this time, Rasengan had already been printed on his abdomen. Advertisement. There was a buzzing sound in his ears, and the next moment, Shi Shangyang suffered a heavy blow in the abdomen, and his entire body was hit by Rasengan's feet, and he was about to fly upside down. But in one, Shi Shangyang's abdomen suddenly cracked, and several black shadows burst out from his two ribs, attacking Namikaze Minato at a very fast speed. Namikaze Minato disappeared, and so did Rasengan. But at this time, Shi Shangyang had already suffered a blow from Rasengan, his body was vacated, and then he was carried by Julie and began to rotate. His body flew backwards, and smashed hard on a giant tree trunk, and suddenly the trunk was smashed out. A depression. Namikaze Minato reappeared, the Rasengan in his hand disappeared, replaced by a kunai, and without any hesitation, pierced directly into Shi Shangyang's neck. Namikaze Minato heard the sound of hard objects shattering, and then realized that the touch on his hand was wrong, so he took off Shi Shangyang's mask without thinking about it. What appeared under the mask was not the imaginary face, but an oval-shaped object in brown-gray color, integrated with the neck, and below it were a few tentacles, which filled Shi Shangyang's entire body and supported him. Get up your clothes. Not good. Namikaze Minato was shocked. He had realized that he had been fooled. In this case, he naturally knew that he had encountered a puppet master, because the puppet appeared in front of him. As soon as he thought about it, He wanted to leave instantly, but the next moment he found that his legs had been entangled by two tentacles at some point, followed by a voice that sounded behind him. I got you too. Chapter 59 Test each other, seeking flowers, scoring. A ninja knife was placed on Namikaze Manato's neck, and the blade shone with cold light. It seemed that as long as he moved, it would slit his throat in the next second. There is no one else behind him, it is Shi Shangyang. At this time, Shi Shangyang has changed his clothes, but he is still walking like a wandering ninja. He also has a mask on his face and deliberately suppresses his voice, so when he said that, his voice appears hoarse and low. Namikaze Manato frowned, trying to think about who the other party was. Generally, powerful ninjas are very sensitive to information and will use various means to distinguish the enemy, but Namikaze Manato thought about it and did not think about the person behind him. Who? It is very likely that it is an enemy that has never been seen before. Thinking like this, he didn't show much unease on his face, and seemed very calm. You seem to be looking for me. Listen to what you mean, you seem to have discovered me long ago. Shi Shangyang asked. Namikaze Manato didn't answer. In fact, he didn't find Shi Shangyang at the beginning, but the ninja's vigilance made him find something wrong just now, especially the sixth sense of the strong, sometimes very unreasonable. Just now, he felt that someone might be spying on it, so he took out a special kunai to prepare in advance. Shi Shangyang glanced around Namikaze Manato, but unfortunately, no card was exposed. This shows how stable Namikaze Manato's mentality is, and he is not nervous in the face of this situation. In the same way, Shi Shangyang couldn't help but be vigilant. He has a certain understanding of Flying Thunder God technique, but without a master, he doesn't know how powerful this technique can be, so he is also wary of Namikaze Manato, right? In this case there is also a means of disengagement. In fact, his idea was not wrong, because in the next moment, Namikaze Manato disappeared from the captivity of the puppet, extremely abruptly. Shi Shangyang's face under the mask showed a dignified look, a little surprised, but not too surprised. This situation has been expected just now. Ah, with a chuckle, Shi Shangyang flicked his fingers, and the puppet on the ground trembled, and then the puppet stood up and landed behind him. A sharp steel needle turned hideous. Namikaze Manato disappeared, but Shi Shangyang was not worried at all, because he knew that Namikaze Manato must be hiding in the dark at this time, and wanted to see the right time to launch a fatal blow to himself. Advertisement. He was not worried, but looked forward to it. Laugh. Shi Shangyang didn't move, but the puppet behind him suddenly bounced up, rushed in one direction, opened its feet in midair, and then shot out pieces of steel needles in that direction, and those steel needles were as airtight as raindrops, flashing cold light. Tuck tuck tuck. The penetrating power of the steel needle is extremely strong, directly piercing the trunk of a thick wood, creating a dense small hole, and at that moment, Shi Shangyang saw a figure disappear from that position. At the same time, Shi Shangyang turned around abruptly, the ninja sword in his hand slashed through a cold light, and slashed towards a place on his side. When, in the sound of gold and iron, the ninja sword and kunai collided again. The figure of Namikaze Manato appeared beside Shi Shangyang, holding the ninja sword with a special kunai, frowning slightly, as if he was a little puzzled, why Shi Shangyang caught his own movement so quickly. Saw, Namikaze Manato disappeared again, just like before. Shi Shangyang spoke suddenly. As expected of the golden glitter, Flying Thunder God technique is indeed called the title of speed in the Genin world. As he said, he randomly killed a corner of his clothes. There was a special incantation on that piece of fabric, but he didn't know when Namikaze Manato printed it. Advertisement. Namikaze Manato, who was hiding in the dark, naturally saw this scene and was slightly surprised. Among the opponents he has encountered in the past, it is not that no one can perceive this, but the person who can deal with such an easy task in front of him has never appeared. Shi Shangyang gave him the feeling that he is clearly aware of Flying Thunder God technique's intelligence, which made him feel tricky. Shi Shangyang turned his head to look in one direction, the corners of his mouth raised under the mask, and then rushed in that direction without hesitation. There was no other reason, just because he saw another blue card on the ground in that direction, it was obvious that Namikaze Manato must be there. Namikaze Manato was obviously surprised when he saw this. He didn't expect the other party to find him so quickly. He had been hiding behind the tree and didn't show his face just now. How did the other party notice it? Shi Shangyang pounced for granted, but he didn't care much because he got a blue card. Drop. Congratulations to the host for getting the item card special kunai 3. Close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the item card special kunai 3, which has been increased by 7 times, and has been upgraded to item card special kunai 21. In the other direction, Namikaze Manato came out from behind the tree with a solemn expression. Who are you? What are you going to do here? Shi Shangyang flicked his fingers and the puppet stood beside him. Someone offered 50 million taels for me to come here to kill a Konoha kid. Originally, I planned to catch 2 Konoha guys to ask for information, but I didn't expect to run into your big fish. Hehe, your human head is worth 200 million taels. Chapter 60 Namikaze Manato injured, for flowers, score. Shi Shangyang said this, naturally, not to make a fool of himself, but to disturb the current situation and give people enough room for imagination. Even if it is found out that he is lying, in the current situation, as long as he is interested, he can't help but think too much. A bit. Shi Shangyang is looking forward to Namikaze Minato's return, and knowing that he was attacked by Konoha Anbu, it must be wonderful. That's right, he is naturally putting eye drops on Shimura Danzo, and by the way, he also endorses Konoha for his own betrayal. There must be enough reasons, but that's all for later. At this time, Namikaze Minato's face didn't change much after hearing what Shi Shangyang said, but Shi Shangyang's next words made him frown even deeper. As a reward for meeting me today, I will tell you a special piece of information. That kid is called Shi Shangyang, and the one who issued the reward is someone from within your Konoha. When Namikaze Minato heard the words, his expression remained the same, but his tone became colder. This is impossible. He naturally wouldn't believe the enemy's words, and it would be impossible for any normal person to believe it, except Urzuzi. Hehe, believe it or not, that's your business. I know exactly what your name stands for. It is recorded in Rock Shinobi's ninja manual. If you meet you on the battlefield, you can give up the mission. But if you want to kill me, it's impossible to stay. Shi Shangyang is maintaining the character design. What he said is not very credible, but it is enough for him. Anyway, he did not intend to make the other party believe it. No, after hearing his words, another white card exploded on Namikaze Minato's body, which is enough to show that he is not without psychological fluctuations. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang showed a smile on his face hidden under the mask. This kind of talk is over, and naturally there is no need to say more, just leave a seed of doubt in Namikaze Minato's heart. Shi Shangyang flicked his fingers, and the puppet ape juveniles made a rattling sound, and his hideous body was slightly lowered, as if he was about to attack. When Namikaze Minato saw this, he immediately calmed down. After hearing Shi Shangyang's words, he had doubts in his heart, so the next best thing for him is to capture the opponent so as to obtain enough information. Can kill the opponent. This is a battlefield, and there is nothing to say except fighting. Advertisement. Saw. Namikaze Minato disappeared and appeared in another direction the next moment. He raised his hand towards Shi Shangyang and threw a shuriken with a special kunai mixed in it. Naturally, his attack would not end so easily. After knowing that Shi Shangyang was not an ordinary ninja, Namikaze Minato knew how to proceed in the next battle. His figure flickered several times in a row, each time disappearing at the previous moment, and then appearing in another direction at the next moment, throwing a piece of shuriken and kunai at Shi Shangyang, which naturally hides his specially made kunai. Shi Shangyang knew this very well, so he behaved very normally. He easily knocked those shuriken flying, and naturally he would not leave those shuriken, and also let them fly out. But Namikaze Minato's figure appeared continuously in the air, 1 second in front, the next second behind Shi Shangyang, and even suddenly appeared in front of Shi Shangyang, very close to Shi Shangyang. This level of fighting is nothing to Shi Shangyang, but Namikaze Minato's unstoppable speed is the most troublesome. Even he can't predict this. Sharingan can only see his movements clearly, but can't see through his disappearance and appearance. This is how terrible the Flying Thunder God technique is. Finally, after a specially made kunai collapsed again, Namikaze Minato suddenly appeared beside Shi Shangyang and pressed one hand on the puppet ape juvenile fish. The next moment, the ape juvenile fish disappeared, and the chakra line connecting Shi Shangyang and the puppet broke. At the moment just now, Shi Shangyang saw an incantation affixed to the puppet ape juvenile fish. When was it printed? Shi Shangyang felt incredible. But the most incredible thing for him is still behind. Namikaze Minato sent 2 special kunai to Shi Shangyang while sending the puppet ape juveniles away. And just when Shi Shangyang collapsed a kunai and was about to blast out the second one, Namikaze Minato appeared in front of him again. Shi Shangyang's Sharingan caught all this, his pupils shrank slightly, and found that Namikaze Minato and the second special kunai swapped themselves with each other. The second kunai disappeared in front of Shi Shangyang, and Namikaze Minato appeared in front of him. Laugh. Advertisement. Shi Shangyang's ninja knife slashed towards him. But the next moment, Namikaze Minato disappears one time later. Shi Shangyang immediately stopped the knife, but was still a step slower, because Namikaze Minato appeared again after his knife was cut off. A kunai was held in Namikaze Minato's hand, and when it appeared, it stabbed directly into Shi Shangyang's waist and abdomen. Puff! The sharp blade pierced Shi Shangyang's body. But the next moment, Namikaze Minato's expression changed drastically. In front of his eyes, everything seemed to be going back in time. Kunai, who had just stabbed into Shi Shangyang's abdomen, was pulled out by a force that made him irresistible. No. To be precise, it was the movement of his own body, and even everything he had just done, as if the reverse button had been pressed, strange and unchangeable. Immediately, Namikaze Minato saw the opponent's hand, grabbed his wrist, and swiped the other hand in front of him, and the blade of the ninja knife cut open his chest. Puff! Blood splattered. Finally caught you. Shi Shangyang's voice was hoarse, but with a smile. Chapter 61. Ninja Rasengan for flowers, score. What happened just now was not an illusion. From beginning to end, Shi Shangyang did it on purpose. He was very aware of Namikaze Minato's difficulty, so he was vigilant from the beginning, but the fight with Namikaze Minato still surprised him. This man is really amazing, and he played the Flying Thunder God technique. If Shi Shangyang had all the means, he would not be so passive. Now he has a huge amount of chakra, and both ninjutsu and taijutsu are no longer ordinary. Coupled with the various talents and experience he has gained, he is still confident if he wants to defeat Namikaze Minato, can be done. But he must maintain his current personality, a traitor who receives a bounty quest, and is also a puppet master, so many methods are inconvenient to use. This is the only way to give Namikaze Minato when he is most relaxed. One strike. The result is now, Namikaze Minato got into the trap he designed. Shi Shangyang is very clear that using the puppet master's means, he can't help the opponent at all, so he must use other means in the end. And he is most likely not to be discovered, and it is also the most secretive method, which is naturally Mangekyo, so he used himself as a bait to attract Namikaze Minato to take the bait, and then activated the Chenju skill of his left eye, and finally hit Namikaze Minato hard. At this time, Namikaze Minato's eyes widened, and blood was sprayed in the air between him and Shi Shangyang. Namikaze Minato had already felt the pain. This feeling has not been felt in the world for a long time after his master Flying Thunder God technique arrive. My heart was shocked, and for a moment, Namikaze Minato felt a sense of horror. The next moment, his figure disappeared from Shi Shangyang's eyes. Shi Shangyang felt his hand loosen, and Namikaze Minato disappeared in front of him. Oh, it's really the ability to foul, Shi Shangyang complained in a hoarse voice. Then, he turned his eyes to another place. In that direction, a dark purple card has appeared in sight. It can be seen how much shock it brought to Namikaze Minato's psychology just now. He must have been taken aback. Advertisement. Where do you want to go? The golden glitter of Konoha. Shi Shangyang whispered like this, and activated the Chenju ability of his left eye again. Namikaze Minato, who was leaning against a tree and gasping for breath, was clutching his chest at this time. His face was full of dignified colors, and there was a scar from his rib to his chest, and blood was flowing on it, and he couldn't stop it at this time. After swallowing a pill, he took out the gauze again. He was about to bandage himself to stop the bleeding, but the next moment, his expression froze. He found that everything in front of him became illusory, and then the scene in front of him changed. The feeling was like after he launched Flying Thunder God himself, but now it only gave him a sense of horror. Because everything in front of him is very similar to what happened just now, because his body is out of control, everything in front of him seems to be turning back in time, he loses control, and everything around him is separated from himself, so he like from a participant to a bystander, but the bystander is himself. Are you trying to escape? Shi Shangyang's voice rang in his ears, and then he saw Shi Shangyang appear in front of him. Do not. To be precise, he appeared in front of the other party. Namikaze Minato's eyes widened, and at this time, he was still stabbing forward with a special kunai in his hand, and the target was the opponent's abdomen. Everything seemed to be repeating itself, the same as what had just happened. Move. Namikaze Minato roared inwardly, trying to move his body, but at this moment there was nothing he could do. Then he could only watch the other side raise his hand. The ninja knife that had just cut a wound in his mouth glowed with a cold light, and cut a wound on his chest from the other direction, from bottom to top. Suddenly again a piece of blood came out. Advertisement. When the severe pain came, Namikaze Minato didn't have time to think about it. The first time he felt that his body could be controlled, he launched Flying Thunder God again and disappeared. Shi Shangyang narrowed his left eye slightly, and there was a tingling pain in his eyeball. This was a side effect after using Chenju twice, and at this time, the vision of his left eye was a little more blurred, which was more serious than before. The degree of sight loss is felt. Sure enough, using the ability twice is still too much for the eyes. Shi Shangyang was already mentally prepared for this, but for the Flying Thunder God technique, everything was worth it. The separate space of Chenju's ability can act on the outside world, and the size is also controllable. Like the ability to rewind time, it also consumes pupil power. In the two displays just now, Shi Shangyang used a lot of pupil power. Such consequences are normal. But now it seems that everything is really worth it. At least Shi Shangyang has seen a gold card fall in the distance. What gold cards can drop from Namikaze Minato? Potential. The potential should be a gold card, but the biggest possibility is the Flying Thunder God technique. Shi Shangyang was very resistant to excitement, and with a direct thought, he took back the gold card and the purple card that fell out first. Drop. Congratulations to host for obtaining the ability card Rasengan. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket drop. Close black lens bracket. Chapter 62 Chasing Namikaze Minato all the way, for flowers, score. Dip. Congratulations to the ability card received by host. Rasengan has been increased by 6 times, and it has been upgraded to the ability card, Rasengan Grandmaster. Shi Shangyang was overjoyed, but a bigger surprise was yet to come. Drop. Congratulations to the host for getting the ability card Flying Thunder God technique. Close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations to the host for getting an 8-fold increase in the ability card Flying Thunder God technique, and upgrading it to an ability card in Ninja Flying Thunder God technique perfect. After hearing this prompt, the smile on Shi Shangyang's face became even brighter. All the previous plans became a reality at this moment, and he was very lucky to obtain an 8-fold increase in the system, and directly challenge the master of Flying Thunder God technique, raised to perfection. In other words, in terms of the Flying Thunder God technique, Shi Shangyang now definitely has the ability to be comparable to Namikaze Minato. Without any hesitation, he directly used the ability card of Flying Thunder God technique. Just like after using the card in the past, he has a lot of knowledge in his mind, and that knowledge is like what he has learned and understood for a long time. In a blink of an eye, he was the perfect master. This is the power of plugins. Even now, Shi Shangyang thinks it's amazing. Overall, Shi Shangyang was satisfied with this battle. From the beginning to the present, almost every step was under his calculations. How would Namikaze Minato react, or even when the cards were dropped? Exceeded his expectations. The only loss is that fine puppet 8 juvenile fish. That thing is not too important to him, but it is always produced by the system. It is still a little distressing to lose, and I don't know that Namikaze Minato, where did the 8 juvenile fish teleport to, and I have to find a chance to get it back. Taking a deep breath, Shi Shangyang looked in the direction Namikaze Minato left, and then chased after him without hesitation. At this moment, in the distance on the other side, Namikaze Minato's face was pale, leaning in the shadow of a giant tree. His eyes were full of fear, and at that moment, he even smelled death. If it wasn't for the critical moment controlling his body again, he suspected that he was going to die there just now. What kind of ability is that? Advertisement. This was the question that was lingering in his mind, but he had no answer, because he had never seen the other party's seal from the beginning until just now, so he was sure that it was definitely not as simple as ordinary ninjutsu, and even possible not some forbidden technique. Then there is only one answer. The blood follows the limit. There are quite a lot of blood sutras in the ninja world, and Namikaze Minato knows the number of blood sutras that are no less than 20, but he has never heard of any blood sutras with such terrifying abilities. That is the ability of Master Time. This ability has never been heard of in the entire ninja world. Even with his knowledge, he can't figure out what kind of ability has caused all of this. However, when he thought about how he was out of control just now, and could only watch everything reverse, Namikaze Minato couldn't help but burst into palpitations. So you were hiding here. A voice suddenly sounded. Namikaze Minato's face changed suddenly, and his figure disappeared instantly. He. Shi Shangyang looked at the purple card floating on the ground, and his heart was already blooming. What's more satisfying than getting a card? That is to keep getting a lot of cards. Thinking of this, Shi Shangyang looked in the direction Namikaze Minato left, and far away, a blue card was quietly floating in his sight. Advertisement. For Shi Shangyang, the card is unobstructed. Even if the distance between the card and him is 100 miles, it will appear in his eyes. This thing is like a positioning, and it is very clear at this time. He followed the purple card to find it, and then found Namikaze Minato's hiding place. Not to mention, the card actually has more positioning functions at this time, which Shi Shangyang would never have thought of before. Shi Shangyang put away the card directly, and the system prompt sound came in his mind. Drop. Congratulations to host for obtaining the ability card sealing technique, Seal of Sealing Evil. Close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations to the ability card, sealing technique, Seal of Evil Sealing, obtained by host, which has been increased by 5 times, and has been upgraded to ability card, sealing technique, Seal of Evil Sealing Grandmaster. Yes, in addition to his extraordinary talent, this one also has a Uzumaki Kushina. Master's sealing techniques are also normal. The sealing techniques of the Uzumaki family are well known in the ninja world. Then, Shi Shangyang performed the body flicker technique and chased Namikaze Minato again. Namikaze Minato performed the Flying Thunder God technique just now, and the distance after performing it was very long, so after Shi Shangyang caught up, Namikaze Minato was no longer there, only some bloodline remained on the ground. Shi Shangyang put away the card. It was a very common sea-level wind-style ninjutsu. He looked up again, and saw another blue card from a distance. It's interesting, if I keep chasing it all the way, it would be great to be able to take out all of Namikaze Minato's abilities. Shi Shangyang didn't hesitate, and naturally hurried to catch up, but he knew very well that this time the harvest was roughly the same, and it was basically impossible to catch up with Namikaze Minato before he returned to the base. Chapter 63. I'm full all the way, for flowers, score. Shi Shangyang wanted to use Flying Thunder God to catch up, but there is a premise for this spell to be activated, that is, it needs time-space coordinates, and the positioning method of time-space coordinates requires the use of special tools. For example, the coordinates of Flying Thunder God of Second Hokage Senju Tobarama, the tools used are specially made kunai, which are engraved with special Flying Thunder God spells for positioning. The method used by Namikaze Minato is the same, except that the shape of the special kunai is different, but both need to have something to carry the Flying Thunder God Warlock incantation. Shi Shangyang has no shortage of this stuff. The special kunai, 21 handles have been enough for him to use for a while. But the premise is that the Flying Thunder God spells need to be engraved on these special kunai, and it takes time to engrave the Flying Thunder God spells. It's not worth it to stop now. He wants to chase it for a while and give it to Namikaze Minato had enough urgency to pull some wool off of him. He severely injured Namikaze Minato, but he knew very well that such an injury was not fatal. Shi Shangyang knew this very well, because he deliberately kept his strength on his hands, for fear of killing Namikaze Minato directly with too much force. And now, the benefits of keeping his hands have already appeared, at least he can chase it all the way, smashing wool all the way. Namikaze Minato doesn't know this. He does have a sense of urgency now, and it is this sense of urgency that drives him to keep running away, and what he doesn't know is that this sense of urgency makes him pop a card from time to time, became the locator in Shi Shangyang's eyes. In a mountain pass a few miles away, Namikaze Minato hid here, gasping for breath. The bloodline on his chest was flowing more and more, his clothes were already bright red, and his face was even more white. These 2 times he used Flying Thunder God, it was nothing in the past, but now he is seriously injured, let alone apathetic, and the wound is still suffering from pain. Every time he casts Flying Thunder God, it is a huge burden for him. But for some reason, he always felt that the person was following him. This was an intuition, a ninja's intuition. This intuition was very effective in the past, so Namikaze Minato would naturally not let down any vigilance. Moving his ears, he heard a small sound, and the color behind it changed. Hateful. Advertisement. Even with his mentality, he couldn't help feeling shaken at this time. That person really followed, but how did he find this place? Namikaze Minato couldn't figure this out, but he didn't have time to think about it, because reality didn't allow him to stay more, so without hesitation, Namikaze Minato launched the Flying Thunder God technique again to disappear. A few seconds later, Shi Shangyang's figure appeared where Namikaze Minato had just stopped. He glanced at the bloodline on the ground and took a blue card here. He waited here for a while, and sure enough, it was extremely far. Another card appeared. Hey, Shi Shangyang was happy. That's it, the 2 chased and escaped. With cards as their positioning, Shi Shangyang could find the right direction to catch up every time, but it was a pain for Namikaze Minato. Obviously he moved irregularly every time, but it was for some reason, the other party was able to catch up without any mistakes, which made him very puzzled. But as time went on, Namikaze Minato was bleeding profusely and getting weaker and weaker, and if he didn't return to the base, he might die outside. The more this is the case, the more urgent he is, and the more urgent it is, the more frequently the cards will pop up, and the more unable to escape Shi Shangyang's pursuit. 10 minutes later, Shi Shangyang stopped at a treetop and looked at the bloodline and a floating purple card on the treetop speechlessly. How many special kunai has this guy left in the vicinity? Didn't he just threw this thing all over the front line? Thinking about it this way, Shi Shangyang thinks there is such a possibility. If it is him, he will definitely leave some coordinates in various places in the future. Naturally, the more the better, the Namikaze Minato is not too bad, at least wood. The other consumption of Yi's burden is nothing more than a specially made kunai. For a huge ninja village, it is simply a drop in the bucket. Advertisement. Putting away the purple card, Shi Shangyang suddenly smiled when he heard the prompt tone. Dip, congratulations to host for obtaining the ability card sealing technique, Seal of Sealing Fire. Close black lens bracket. 5 times the increase, the same as the Grandmaster level, a very good harvest. Shi Shangyang was very satisfied, and then chased after him without hesitation. His speed was unreserved, and it was precisely because of this that he would catch up with Namikaze Minato in a short period of time, thus giving Namikaze Minato a greater mentality, pressure. But after such a chase, there was still no way to catch up with Namikaze Minato, so after collecting a few more cards, Shi Shangyang saw a familiar landscape ahead. This is the location of the Konoha frontline base. When we get here, it means that Namikaze Minato's safety is guaranteed. Shi Shangyang naturally cannot chase it in. Anyway, there are clones watching, so he is not afraid of any problems. At this time, he didn't know, because Namikaze Minato came back seriously injured, which shocked everyone in the base. This is Golden Glitter. Why was this ordinary patrol mission so severely injured? Chapter 64 Danzo the B****************** D, Seeking Flowers, Rating. The base became chaotic because of Namikaze Minato's sudden return. Everyone who knew that Namikaze Minato was seriously injured were all worried. Now is the time of war. In this case, if there is a ninja who can seriously injure Namikaze Minato on the enemy side, that would definitely not be a good thing for Konoha. Fortunately, Namikaze Minato was quickly stabilized by a specialized medical ninja, and thanks to Shi Shangyang not rushing to kill Namikaze Minato, so Namikaze Minato's injury looks scary, but in fact it can only be at most. It's just a serious injury. With the ninja's physical fitness, there is no danger to his life for the time being. The upper echelons of the base gather around Namikaze Minato, and since Namikaze Minato's identity is so important to San Shinobi's frontline, everyone wants to know what he's been through. Namikaze Minato didn't hide anything about this. He also wanted to know who the enemy was. After a fight, what Namikaze Minato realized most was the difficulty of the opponent's terrible ability. Even now, he didn't think of a way to deal with it. An ability to go back in time. Akamaiki took the wind with a serious face, and when he heard that the enemy had this ability, his heart was raised. There are thousands of ninjas in the ninja world, and their abilities are even more numerous, but this is the first time he has heard of such abilities. The ability related to time can be said to have never appeared in the entire ninja world. One point is enough to make people pay attention. And when Akamaiki found out that the man was here to kill Shi Shangyang, his brows became even tighter. Namikaze Minato fully informed the information he obtained, including the words Shi Shangyang used to splash dirty water. Now any information about the enemy needs to be used and then analyzed. Akamaki frowned deeply after listening to the wind, and the news from Namikaze Minato made his heart heavy. Did you find anything? Take Feng-sama, Namikaze Minato asked. Akamaki thought for a while, but decided to tell what he knew. Namikaze Minato's face became serious when he learned that Konoha's Anbu Regan had touched Shi Shangyang. Advertisement. In other words, what that person said is likely to be true. Namikaze Minato asked. Akamaki shook his head slightly when he heard the news, and said solemnly, I sent a message back to ask Lord Hokage, but Lord Hokage replied that the root people did not act like this. Namikaze Minato and Akamaki looked at each other, both of them felt that there must be a secret in this matter, and both of them were inclined to lie to the wandering ninja. After all, they are both from Konoha. There is no reason to believe outsiders do not trust their own people. Anyway, let's call Ishigami-kun to ask about the situation. Namikaze Minato said. Akamaki nodded and asked Shi Shangyang to call. Soon, Shi Shangyang came. Of course, it was Shi Shangyang's clone. Seeing the remnant like Namikaze Minato, he immediately knew that the main body had succeeded, and he had concerns. The memory between the main body and the avatar cannot be transferred in real time, and the avatar only has the memory of when he was separated to the present. He doesn't know what the main body has done, but the avatar is very clear about what the main body will do. The same also know what to do after this. Akamaki took the wind and asked Shi Shangyang's avatar about that day. This is just a routine inquiry. Similar things have been experienced by Shi Shangyang's avatar once, so it is what everyone knows about the root ninja. Of course, he just said that I don't know, and he just prevaricates it. I didn't get an answer from Shi Shangyang. Akamaki Fufeng and Namikaze Minato are not surprised, but this is a strange thing. It is a fact that people from the root are here to do something to Shi Shangyang. This is no matter what cannot be concealed. Have those people's bodies been examined? Namikaze Minato asked. Akamaki nodded. I checked. It's really Danzo's. In this case, Namikaze Minato shook his head slightly, but didn't say what he said, but Akamaki was very clear about the meaning of what he said. It is obvious that Shimura Danzo has a problem with this matter. Thinking of Shimura Danzo's character, and his treatment in terms of the attitude of the Uchiha family, Akamaki has actually already had a scruple in his heart. Advertisement. Shi Shangyang's clone expressed doubts at the right time. Then may I ask, Danzo, is that Lord Shimura Danzo? Akamaki nodded in favor of the wind. He is my teammate at the same time, but he hasn't shown up in the village very much these years. I will go back and ask him personally about your being attacked by the ninja of the roots. But, did I do something wrong? Why did Lord Danzo do this to me? Shi Shangyang asked. Broken. The two of them were shocked when they heard the words, and naturally they could hear the meaning of Shi Shangyang's words. The young man in front of him seemed to have resentment towards the village, which was not a good sign. Namikaze Minato struggled to get up and said with a gentle smile on his face, Don't worry about Yangjun, the village will not let you be wronged. Akamaki frowned, but still nodded. That's right, this kind of thing will definitely be found out. When Shi Shangyang heard the words, he just nodded slightly, his face sullen on purpose, and then turned to leave. Akamaki and Namikaze Minato looked at each other with helplessness in their eyes. Danzo B******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** an escape talent for flowers, score. What Shi Shangyang's avatar is showing now is an appearance of being wrong but unable to speak directly. That's right, this is still applying eye drops to Shimura Danzo, and by the way, he is also preparing for the betrayal. He had a hunch that the time when he betrayed Konoha should be near. Not too far after going out, Shi Shangyang's clone saw the other three members of Namikaze Manato's team, Hitaki Kakashi, Uchiha Obito and Nohara Rin. These three seem to have just come out from the inside, they just saw Namikaze Manato, so their faces somewhat worried. Hitaki Kakashi still has a Sema face, and he can't see anything, but the expressions of the other two people are more obvious. Yangjun. It was Nohara Lin who spoke out, and she took the initiative to say hello after seeing Shi Shangyang. Shi Shangyang nodded lightly, glanced at the three and prepared to leave. He did it on purpose, and the play was to be completed. Hitaki Kakashi didn't notice anything, after all, his attitude towards others is similar, but Uchiha Obito couldn't stand Shi Shangyang's attitude. D, give more reaction. Shi Shangyang's clone just glanced at Uchiha Obito before preparing to leave. Hey, D. Uchiha Obito was suddenly unhappy. How could one or two of the guys he knew have this stinky virtue? Hitaki Kakashi was like that, and now it's Shi Shangyang's turn. Shi Shangyang's clone stopped when he saw the light blue card that burst out from Uchiha Obito's body. This guy is really good. What's the matter? Shi Shangyang cloned. Just as Uchiha Obito was about to say something, he was stopped by Nohara Rin, who said softly, Obito, don't disturb Yangjun, he is in a bad mood. Uchiha Obito couldn't see what anyone with discernment could see. Isn't this guy happy? Uchiha Obito immediately became interested. Advertisement. Hitaki Kakashi on the side shook his head slightly, sitting and watching Uchiha Obito die. Shi Shangyang said coldly, what's the matter with you? Uchiha Obito scratched his head and said with some confusion, what happened to you guy today? It wasn't like this before. Otherwise, this guy is an idiot. Shi Shangyang said, it has nothing to do with you. Just a word. Uchiha Obito was speechless, and then the guy sneered. What, has this guy started learning Hitaki Kakashi too? What's so good about that guy? Shi Shangyang pouted. At least Hitaki Kakashi is liked by Lin, how about you? Uchiha Obito was startled for a moment, then his face flushed, and he shouted in anger, you be asterisk 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 D, Rin, how could she possibly like that idiot Kakashi? As he spoke, he glanced at Yi Yuanlin, but seeing her blushing face did not refute, his heart twitched, and he jumped. B asterisk 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 D, I want to duel you. Shi Shangyang snorted coldly, only the ability of your three-legged cat. Damn, I've opened my eyes. After the words fell, Uchiha Obito's eyes became blood red, revealing Sharingan, with 2 hook jade in each eye. Is this your confidence? When Shi Shangyang said this, with a thought, he took several blue cards on the ground. Or, you don't know my news until now. He said again. Uchiha Obito gritted his teeth and asked subconsciously, what do you guys want to say? Nohara Rin looked at the two of them worriedly. Shi Shangyang stared at Uchiha Obito, and the next moment, his eyes also turned blood red, revealing Sharingan. Advertisement. Uchiha Obito's eyes widened when he saw this, his face full of astonishment, he pointed at Shi Shangyang and was speechless. Surprise, right? Shi Shangyang asked. How can you have a Sharingan? Sengoyu. Obviously you are not Uchiha. Uchiha Obito shouted. On his body, a flashing golden card fell. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang's pupils shrank slightly. He didn't expect that this guy could still drop a gold card, which really surprised Shi Shangyang. Dip, congratulations to host for obtaining the ability card, Yin Yun Talent. Close black lens bracket. Dip, congratulations to the ability card, Yin Dun Talent acquired by host, which has been increased by 6 times, and has been upgraded to ability card Yin Yun Talent Kanjin card. Shi Shangyang was very surprised, but he still suppressed the surprise, and at the same time suppressed his doubts, and said in a low voice, you ask me, who should I ask? What do you mean? Uchiha Obito's eyes were still wide. Shi Shangyang said. I also suddenly got these eyes, but do you know how much trouble these eyes have brought me? Sure enough, it is trouble to have a relationship with you Uchiha. While speaking, Shi Shangyang put away a purple card that burst from Hitaki Kakashi. Dip, congratulations to the host for getting the ability card Lightning Style Reikiri. Close black lens bracket. Apparently, Hitaki Kakashi was also in shock after seeing Shi Shangyang's Sharingan, but the shock was not as strong as Uchiha Obito's. Damn, are you looking down on Uchiha? Uchiha Obito said angrily. Is it not obvious? Shi Shangyang asked rhetorically. You be asterisk 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 D. Uchiha Obito couldn't help it, and immediately stepped forward to do it. But the movement here also attracted other people in the base. Among them, 4 Anbu ninjas wearing masks came over and stood in front of Shi Shangyang.